excellence begins. It's Green Bay Packers preseason football on the Packers TV network.
And a pleasant good evening from Foxborough, Massachusetts. It's preseason game number 1 for the Green Bay Packers. Tonight, taking on the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. Hi, everyone. Along with Rich Gannon, the former NFL MVP, Kevin Harlan. Welcome once again to another summer, another August of preseason football for the Packers. Great to be with you once again. Rich, everything kind of begins with Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP of the NFL. He is, I guess, your lead sentence when you talk about this edition of the Packers.
Absolutely, Kevin. We're talking about a very unique and very special quarterback, a quarterback that really has dominated the landscape of the NFC over the last couple of years. And you look at his production last year, 38 touchdowns and just 5 interceptions, none of them coming at Lambeau. He's playing so well right now, and that's really where it all starts when you study this offense.
Eye-popping numbers, there's no doubt about it. Keeping him healthy is another big headline for this season. Thus, we look at the offensive line altogether again.
Kevin, I thought they really played well last year, especially with the rookie center Corey Linsley, who really stepped in and did a terrific job. But they were healthy, and that was really the key to it. You look at Eddie Lacy and how they ran the ball at the end of the year. Aaron Rodgers sacked really a career low 28 times last year, so they played better, and I think the key to it was staying healthy. The only player that missed a start was Brian Bulaga last year, so health is key to that group up front.
So all 11 starters come back on offense. 9 of the 11 starters from a year ago come back on defense. B.J. Raji is back on that defensive line, and they need him.
They really do, Kevin. They struggle a little bit with their run defense, especially in their sub packages, and getting B.J. Raji back made a world of difference. They lost him early in the preseason last year with a bicep injury. He's healthy. He's cut some weight. He looks good. He's the key to anchoring that defensive line, especially against the run.
In the secondary, the Packers say goodbye to Tramon Williams, left as a free agent for a big contract with the Cleveland Browns, so that position is open, part of a very young secondary for the Packers.
And they are excited about this group, especially when you consider they used their top 2 draft picks on cornerbacks and really good ones at that. You look at Quentin Rollins, their second-round pick. He's going to get a chance to play tonight. Demarius Randall, who will not play tonight, but these guys have great speed, physical players, love competing, and both are going to get a chance and get challenged early in the regular season.
There is no doubt the bar has been raised high for this Green Bay Packer team this year. It seems like that's a continuous story. We're back with the kickoff from Foxborough, the Packers, the Patriots, on the Packers Television Network. Welcome back to Foxborough on a beautiful night for football here in New England. They have had another good crowd on hand to open up this defense of their Super Bowl win from a season ago. It was 80 most of today. It's 80 right now. That will drop to about 72. Very little breeze. A perfect night for football. To the sideline now, we welcome in Rod Burks.
Well, guys, there'll be some opportunity for the Packers on the defensive line because Mike Daniels and LaTroy Gagnon will not play tonight, so that opens up the door for second-year player Kyrie Thornton, who didn't show much as a rookie last season, and Mike Pennell, who's fighting for a roster spot. And it'll be also nice to see B.J. Raji back in action after missing all of last year. Now we're going to kick it over to Olivia on the other side of the sideline. Olivia?
Thank you, Rod. Like we talked about in the pregame show, the news around town that we learned just within the hours that Tom Brady is expected to play, but not to start. So a big opportunity for Jimmy Garoppolo as his backup. And Brady was in New York just yesterday, got back last night from his big meetings, his settlement meetings, and he was warming up, surely with a lot on his mind. Packer fans will remember Matt Flynn. However, this would have been a big opportunity for him as Brady's second backup, but the Patriots released him this week after he failed a physical. A lot of quarterback drama going on here in New England. We'll send it to our quarterback for his thoughts on Deflategate. Rich?
Hate distractions, and it's never a good thing before the start of the season. It's something that Bill Belichick and the Patriots have had to deal with. Brady in uniform tonight. Good news for the Patriots, but he'll sit and watch Jimmy Garoppolo early.
The New England Patriots won the flip. They have deferred, and so the Pats have chosen to kick off. Gostkowski has the ball on the 35. And everybody talking in camp about Ty Montgomery and what he could mean to a kicking game that has been struggling for the Packers. The rookie out of Stanford, a third-round pick awaits. It's the Patriots and the Packers, and away we go from Foxborough. It'll be a touchback to the 20-yard line, and Rich, we were talking about it early on. They're going to play Aaron Rodgers, they think, most of the first quarter tonight. That's a rarity. Usually you don't see a guy his caliber playing that much in the first preseason game.
But I think there's a reason, Kevin, and I think it's the fact that we have a new play caller in Green Bay for the first time in 10 years. Mike McCarthy steps aside, Tom Clements takes over, and the communication and the history that they've had together, Rodgers and McCarthy, now it's about developing that continuity with Tom Clements.
With the touchback from the 20 for Rodgers, he'll go right to work. Third option, held by the defense, and ball thrown away. Chandler Jones, who is such a force on that Patriot D, got a hand on the MVP. And let's take a look at the left leg here.
Well, Chandler Jones is a terrific player. He's working against Bakhtiari, but the problem is this ball has to come out. It's really a quick three-step throw. Aaron started to his left, worked all the way back to his right. Ball has to come out on time.
So they call it a sack with a loss of 4, making it 2nd down and 14. And they go inside. Davante Adams makes the grab, brought down immediately by Darrell Roberts. It is a gain of 5 to the 22-yard line. The first quarter is sponsored by the Wisconsin Dental Association. Routine dental exams cost less per month than the average cell phone bill. Visit WDA.org to find a Wisconsin Dental Association dentist near you for affordable preventive care. 3rd down, 9. And he'll go a little bit longer this time, and it's dropped with a flag thrown. It was Cobb on the numbers, the coverage by McLean, and the flag down at the 22.
Offside, number 50, defense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That'll make it 3rd down and 4. They get a break, they'll be at their 27.
Aaron's one of the best in the business. Kevin, a change in his cadence, using that hard count, mixing it in on 3rd down. They had a third and 8. Now they find themselves in a manageable situation on 3rd and 3.
The tight end Rodgers right there in the front of your screen. The tight end is wide. And Aaron Rodgers on the move. And they call it a catch by Jordy Nelson. Good grab, good throw on the run. That is where Rodgers is so deadly. It is a 1st down with a pickup of 15.
No, he's so good sense in the pocket, stepping up, buying himself some extra time, and making these difficult throws to his left. Jordy Nelson doing a nice job working back to the quarterback.
Nelson set the single-season receiving record a season ago for the Packers. On 1st and 10, this is Eddie Lacy. Breaking free to the 43-yard line of New England with a romp of 15 yards. Over 1,000 yards his first 2 seasons in the NFL.
Well, he's such a difficult tackle. I mean, you look how big and strong and how powerful he is. And, you just make that mistake if you try and tackle him above the waist.
Starks is in, 1st and 10. Rodgers looking for Adams down the far sideline, and coverage by Malcolm Butler. 2nd down. They say Adams has had a terrific camp so far for the Packers.
Well, it really goes back to practice habits. And in talking to Aaron Rodgers, he said that Davante Adams' practice habits have really improved. I think he's matured, and I look for big progress from guys like Davante Adams and from Richard Rodgers in year 2.
Adams in his 2nd season, a 2nd-round pick. Rodgers a 3rd-round pick. Here is Aaron Rodgers. Good hit on a terrific throw, and what a catch to the 32-yard line by Davante Adams. That's a pickup of 11 yards on the play, and another 1st down. Make it 10.
He's such a big target. He's 217 pounds, and you love that big body running the slant route for easy throws for Aaron Rodgers.
Takes a while for these receivers to pick it up. It took about half the season, but Adams finished last year very strong.
Really came on strong, Kevin, as you mentioned, the 2nd half of the season. Really probably had his best game in the postseason.
Fullback is Richard Rodgers, who's also the tight end. And here comes Starks, who played every game last season for the Packers. That was a good sign. There was no gain on that play. 2nd down and 10.
Well, you look at the running backs last year, and I think you start with Eddie Lacy. They were smart with him early, and as a result, he was fresher late in the season. A team record, 10 straight games with at least 100 yards from scrimmage. I love how this team jumps the football. They don't give you a chance to make substitutions or catch your breath.
Rodgers with 2nd and 10, blocked by Balaga. There is a pass, and it's caught by Nelson right in front of Roberts. He's close to a 1st down near the 23-yard line of New England, and they give him a 1st down. It is a gain of 10, again, through the air. Nelson.
These are impossible throws to cover. I mean, you look at Roberts, he's in great position. The back shoulder throws, and you just see the continuity between Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers.
Starks on 1st and 10 with a gain of 3, and he takes it just inside the 20. That's a nice 1-2 punch as Lacy comes back in, and Starks staying healthy. I think did a lot for Lacy's game as well last year.
He's a solid backup, Kevin. He's very good in the passing game, and of course, you look at Lacy and Starks, really a good 1-2 punch for the Packers in the running game.
10th play of the drive. 2nd down and 7. Eddie Lacy breaks free into the secondary and inside the 5. McLean and Chung bring him down. 16-yard run by Lacy. Had a 15-yarder earlier on this drive.
And this is demoralizing to a defense. I mean, you just see him running right through arm tackles. And again, once he gets up onto the 2nd level, that's not something you want to see if you're a safety or a cornerback for the Patriots.
Lacy looks good. Rodgers has gone to the air a couple times. Nelson for 15 and 10. Lacy trying to cut back with the block by Bakhtiari and Lindsley, and he's to the 5-yard line or so with no gain on the play.
When you look at the running backs from last year, we talked about the production, 1,139 yards and 9 touchdowns for Eddie Lacy. I thought he was better, Kevin, in the passing game, and we talked about the versatility that the veteran James Starks gives you as well. And of course, you can't forget about the great fullback, Kuhn. I mean, he is a real difference maker, not just in terms of the running game and protection, but on special teams as well.
Kuhn, a Pro Bowler last year. Eddie Lacy dealing with the sore right foot in camp, and there's a little pass on 2nd down and goal, looking for Devontae Adams. The coverage by Malcolm Butler. Remember, Butler was the guy who made the big interception on Russell Wilson at the goal line in Super Bowl 49.
And of course, he made really the play of the year last year in that game. Really won the Super Bowl for the Patriots. Good alertness on the part of the rookie corner Butler, but he's going to get challenged, Kevin, and they go right after him with Devontae Adams on the quick fade.
No more Darrelle Revis for this New England team. He is gone back with the Jets.
No more Brandon Browner.
No, he's gone too. That's 2 gigantic
very
voids.
good corners from a year ago.
Aaron Rodgers on this drive, 4 of 6 for 41 yards.
Got to hustle. He's got to hustle.
3rd and goal. Lacy. And wrapped up at the 2 and hit by Jamie Collins, who led him in tackles a season ago. It is a gain of 3. It's 4th and goal, and they will go for it.
Really nice tackle here by Collins, the middle linebacker. I mean, he takes on the guard, takes on the center Lindsley. He's able to make that tackle. We've seen a number of linebackers miss already in the 1st quarter, trying to take down Eddie Lacy up high.
And Lance told you about this in the pregame, as did Rich. Associate head coach Tom Clemens calling the plays. 14th play of the drive, 4th and goal. Aaron Rodgers, Balaga the block. Here comes Jones. Aaron, and incomplete. A lot of hands in the way of Lacy, who is also back there with Adams as they were on the back of the end zone. Packers give it up on downs. They can't punch it in a 1st and goal situation.
Yeah, sometimes you got to give credit to the defense. Patriots do a really nice job here, not only under initial coverage, but off the scramble drill. Everybody in position, playing man-to-man coverage across the board.
So 14-play drive doesn't produce anything, although some pretty spectacular running by Lacy and catches by Nelson, but all for naught. It goes back to the Patriots, and Brady will be the quarterback when we come back.
This Packers preseason game is sponsored by American Family Insurance, Menards, New Mail Medical Center, Steinhoffels, and the Wisconsin Dental Association.
It is a 1st and 10 after the Packers could not get it in on a goal-to-go situation. Tom Brady is the quarterback. It's 1st and 10 for him. He looks at the sideline, and it's incomplete. Going for Josh Boyce, who they like. Now, we were told that Garoppolo was going to start, but you think there's a reason why Brady is coming in because of this situation?
Yeah, really, Kevin. I mean, you never really know what Bill Belichick's thinking, but now that the situation is they're backed up, they're at their own 2-yard line. Maybe you don't want to put the young Garoppolo in that situation, so you bring Brady out there. He's going to play. We knew he was going to play tonight. Might as well get it out of the way early. He's missed some practice time this week, and obviously the distraction has to be an issue and concern for Bill Belichick.
Deion Lewis is in the backfield, and he gets the call on 2nd down and 10, and doesn't find a whole lot right there. Good stopping in the middle of that line, provided by Josh Boyd, among others. They only carve out 2. Malumba was there, too, and they like the way he has looked in camp.
Yeah, he really has played well, and of course, we talked about the importance of this run defense. As you see B.J. Raji come off the field, now he comes back on, and again, it starts up front. The front 7 doing a much better job getting off of blocks and containing that run defense.
Tom Brady's got it 3rd down and 8, right through the hands of his receiver with the cover by Shields. It was intended for Josh Boyce out of TCU. The All-Pro Bowl player Shields with the play. Brady finishes 0-2 on that series. They're going to have to punt.
Sam Shields playing quite a bit of press man-to-man coverage, and of course, Brady without a couple starters on offense. Brandon LaFell not playing tonight, and of course Julian Edelman out, so some younger guys outside on the perimeter.
Ryan Allen out of Louisiana Tech is going to punt the ball, and Ty Montgomery for the Packers is back inside the 45. Very little breeze with which to deal with for all the kickers and quarterbacks tonight. Montgomery runs out of space and chased out of bounds across the way by Jordan Richards out of Stanford. That was his teammate. They are rookies together in the NFL with different teams. 53-yard punt, 14-yard return. Here comes the Packers. Once again on offense with Rodgers. Rodgers, who says he wants to play 8 or 9 more years, told that to Peter King of SI.
Well, he makes it look so easy, Kevin, and you're so impressed on the opening drive. They get the sack early, and he's able to come back and make a big throw on 3rd down. And I think everyone wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers' arm strength, and of course, arguably the best in all of football. But I think it's what he does with his legs, his ability to avoid the rush, his escape abilities, maneuverability, his quickness in the pocket, his ability to reset and throw from awkward body positions. To me, is what's most impressive with Aaron Rodgers.
Starters out there. Corliss will be in a tight end. He is the only non-starter on the field. 1st and 10. This is Lacey. Wheels his way for a couple, gets to the 41, and picks up a couple on 1st down for Green Bay.
Well, you look at those numbers last year, the quarterback rating, passing touchdowns, really since 2008. I mean, he's been so productive. And again, a 2-time NFL MVP. We've got another 2-time NFL MVP here, and Tom Brady.
And one here in the booth.
Just 2 of 8 players to win the MVP award twice. Pretty amazing.
Starks was in. Rodgers is pressured. They go to Corliss, incomplete, with the coverage across the way by linebacker James Morris. 3rd and 7 for the Pack.
Kevin, I mentioned it in the open, the fact that all 11 starters return on offense. And I think that's significant when you study the Green Bay Packers. I mean, and why is that important? Well, you're not starting over. You're not trying to help a young player learn your system. These are guys that are vested in this offense. The communication's outstanding. And they're able to pick up where they left off a season ago. That's huge for the Packers offense.
6 defensive backs for New England. 3rd and 7. Bakhtiari holding off the rush. Right on the screws. It's caught. Corliss makes the grab. Right in front of the linebacker, Jonathan Freeney. He's down to about the 33, and he picks up 6 or 7. Let's see the spot.
Well, this is where they need to be better at the tight end position. I think this is an area where they need improvement. You look at Corliss last year, Kevin, serviceable as a starter, never had more than 4 catches in a game and only had 4 touchdowns.
4th and 1, Corliss is out of Penn State. Coming off one of his best years last year. Starks stopped.
He didn't get it.
No, he sure didn't, and he was brought down by Jabal Sheard 93, the former Cleveland Brown, who signed as a free agent with the Patriots.
Well, it's disappointing now. They've gone for it twice now on 4th down, and they just get stuffed. You look at penetration inside, and that'll get you every time in short yardage and goal line situations.
Second consecutive possession. The Packers give it up on downs, so New England gets it again. No score, first quarter from Foxborough.
Here in Foxborough, we talk about staff changes on offense. You've got a new network of communication. In years past, when Mike McCarthy decided to go for it, he had a play and personnel group ready. Now, when he decides to go for it, he relays that information to Tom Clements. Tom Clements has to scramble and make sure he has the right personnel in the field. In that last situation, instead of having Eddie Lacy in the game in a 4th and 1, they had Starks.
Brady 1st and 10. Quick slant grabbed by Brandon Gibson. That's what the magic of Brady is all about. Gain of 11 right there out to the 44-yard line, and it's a first down.
We talk about the Patriots and the Packers, and these are no huddle football teams. And what I mean by that, Kevin, is both offenses, they don't huddle, but defenses, and that's the world that they live in. So they don't huddle either. So your communication is going to be absolutely critical against a team that's very multiple.
It's a 1st and 10 handoff. Jonas Gray will try to find some room and does up to about the 47-yard line. He picks up 2 on that previous play. They were working on Hayward, who is now in that starting position at the other corner opposite Shields in place of the departed Tramon Williams.
Yeah, a lot of changes in the secondary, Kevin, and we're going to get a chance to see Quentin Rollins at some point in the game. Demarius Randall not playing tonight. The first 2 draft picks, both cornerbacks, and provide great depth for this secondary.
Gray, Clinton Dix couldn't bring him down. He's out to midfield with a gain of 4, and the tackle was made on the play by Josh Boyd.
Right there in position to make the play. Just you swing and miss on a back like Jonas Gray.
There were a lot of missed tackles last year by Clinton Dix as he would concede in his rookie year, part of the learning experience of being a starter.
Well, he was second on the team in tackles, but yet he had some misses. He's a very physical player, and when he comes downhill, he comes downhill with some attitude.
Little pass across the middle to the tight end, Hoho Manawanui. Who is that, Rich?
Oh, Manawanui.
Good job. Incomplete on 3rd and 4.
Look at Brady. Boy, the ball comes out so quick when he's in the gun. I think there's a lot of similarities, Kevin, when you study Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers in terms of in the gun. How quickly they get their eyes reset and get the ball out quick.
Good coverage by Sam Barrington on that last play. Montgomery signals for allotted a fair catch at the 14-yard line. It is a 36-yard punt. There's pretty good pressure, too, applied by the Packers on that play by the wide receiver, Jeff Janis. He came from the edge, almost had that punt blocked. Packers are working on that in this camp. Timeout. The Packers have 82 yards. The Patriots have 18. We've got no points on the board. 2 consecutive punts by New England. Green Bay about ready to get it with that good offensive line for a 3rd time tonight.
Yeah, and they're facing a pretty good Patriots defense, Kevin. They were 13th in total defense, 9th against the run a season ago.
Corliss is in as the tight end. Lacy in the backfield. Aaron's got it 1st down and 10. The reigning MVP, Corliss, dropped it. And the coverage by Freeney. 2nd and 10.
When you look at this offensive line, we talked about how productive this group has been. When you really study them, Kevin, Bakhtiari a 4th-round pick, Sitton a 4th-round pick, Lindsley a 5th-round pick, T.J. Lang a 4th-round pick, Balaga only the only player along that offensive line was a 1st-round pick. This group has really played well together. As I mentioned, they were healthy a season ago.
Starks is in, gets the pass. Flag is thrown. Terrific blocking ahead by Lang and Sitton and others. He takes it to about the 36, 22-yard catch and run, but the flag was there. Packers the #1 scoring offense in the NFL a season ago. Number 6 in yards per game.
Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face, number 93, defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a 1st down.
Jabal Sheard,
yeah,
former Cleveland Brown. Pretty good pass rusher in his own right.
Rich on top of The new communication when the play is going in from Tom Clements. The meetings have been restructured too, and the quarterbacks have got some company in their meeting room.
Yeah, they really do. Quarterbacks and wide receivers are meeting together. Alex Van Pelt coaches both quarterbacks and receivers. It really makes so much sense, Kevin. It's absolutely critical that both are on the same page. And now Aaron's able to stand up and talk to Jordy or Randall Cobb about what he's seeing, what he expects. And I know as a former quarterback that's so critical, that communication between Tom Clements on the sidelines to Aaron Rodgers, to the receivers, the backs. And that's really been a point of emphasis the entire offseason under Tom Clements and Mike McCarthy.
The Packers decline the penalty. Ball's out to the 36-yard line. Rodgers 1st and 10. Starks. Blocked by Balaga. Sheared again comes in with a New England tackle at the 41. McCarthy also said about the leadership of this team, Rich, which is in part due to the offensive line and all those numbers we just saw in that terrific graphic. The leadership is at an all-time high on this team.
Really, it is. I think I always say those who invest the most are the last to surrender. This team's worked hard, Kevin, and they've had a great offseason. Players are committed. Players come back to Green Bay for the offseason program, and they feel that they have a championship team.
Starks brought down by linebacker Jonathan Freeney out of Rutgers. It is a catch and a run of 9 to midfield and a 1st down.
And the one thing that's already noticeable, a lot like last preseason, just how fast they play. How quickly they jump the ball, how quickly Tom Clements is getting the plays in, and how quickly Aaron gets them set. Makes it very difficult on the defense to make substitutions to dial up all those blitzes.
Scoreless remains in this series. Here's Starks to the 43. Been brought down, hit by a couple, including James Morris defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I always say checkdowns are good. And Aaron Rodgers is terrific, and you can just get the ball in space to guys like James Starks and let them go to work.
Lacey back in. Operating with the no huddle. Then we have 11 returning starters. You can do that. Everybody's been on the same page for more than a season. Here they come, and down goes Rodgers. Trey Flowers, the rookie out of Arkansas, devours him. And the sack is back near midfield.
Well, man-to-man coverage, it just took a little while, but you're going to see Flowers. He comes off the left side. He's just working on back to yard. Just beats him around the corner.
The offensive line only allowed, Rich, 30 sacks last season, the fewest since Rodgers took over as quarterback in 08 as the starter.
And then Bakhtiari just gets caught out of position against the young defensive end.
Well, they got 3rd and 18. They got to get to the New England 40-yard line. Bakhtiari's got Flowers this time. And Aaron running across the way. Remember, dealt with that calf muscle pull last season. Wasn't completely healthy, not 100%. He had the collarbone the year before, and I think we said at the top of the broadcast, keeping him healthy is job one for that line and Mike McCarthy.
Absolutely, and I think you get into these situations in preseason, and I think you have a tendency to gamble a little bit more and take some chances. This would be the 4th down attempt that they've had already here in the first quarter.
4th and 3. Lacey is in.
Ton of man-to-man coverage so far, Kevin, from the Patriots against the Packers tonight.
They got 6 defensive backs out there. Timeout. Rodgers was looking at that play clock and quickly signaled for and was given the timeout.
Their first charge timeout.
We talked about 11 returning starters. Packers return players, Rich, who accounted for an NFL leading 95% of their offensive snaps from last season. That led the league as they had everybody returning, including Lindsley, who was a rookie out of Ohio State. Remember, he took the place of Treader, who got injured, and they threw this kid in, and he became one of the top 5 centers at the end of the year in the NFL via Pro Football Focus.
Right, and we just talked about this offensive line, Kevin. A lot of
nice,
4th and 5th round picks, and 60% of the players on this roster entered the league as a 6th or 7th round pick or as a non-drafted player. We're talking about diamonds in the rough, and I think their ability, Ted Thompson and his staff, to be able to go out and find players that can come in and not only make the team, but eventually be starters and very, very productive players.
Packers have given up twice on downs. 4th and 3 right here from the New England 43. Rodgers, Corliss, first down, 30-yard line, make him out of bounds at the 28-yard line. A 15-yard catch. Good strike by Rodgers and a Green Bay first down.
And a really nice route here by Andrew Corliss. Patient, has the linebackers, the matchup that they want. Corliss on the linebacker, Freeney.
Aaron Rodgers already 100 yards through the air. 1st and 10. The fake to Lacy. Good time with that play fake. Continues to scan. And throws it away. They had Sheard coming up on him real quick. Wisely throws it away.
Well, that was terrific protection for Aaron Rodgers. He had plenty of time. And we talk about a lot of man-to-man coverage already from the Patriots. And sometimes, Kevin, you see that because a defensive staff, Matt Patricia and his group over there from New England, they want to see the young corners. They want to see them cover. This is a good football team. And you've got some great players in Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson and Davante Adams. You want to see them cover these guys man-to-man.
Starks is in the pistol. White, the receiver, is in. And Starks head over heels before he got brought down by Trey Flowers. It is a gain of 4. They'll put him at the New England 24-yard line. 3rd and 6 coming up.
You think about maybe a little bit of a limitation running the ball so much in the gun, but I think when you study the Packers, they do it in a number of different ways. The backs aren't always offset, as we just saw James Starks lined up behind Aaron Rodgers in the shotgun.
Player down, the aforementioned Flowers, the rookie out of Arkansas. We will step aside with under 2 to play in the first quarter. The Packers on the move. Patriot Flowers walked off under his own power. Packers have 144 total yards. Patriots just 18. Here is a 3rd down and 6. 3rd drive for the Packers. Inside, this is Cobb. Big time hit, but a great catch and run to the 8-yard line. It's 1st and goal, a slashy move of 16 yards for Randall Cobb.
Well, let me just draw here real quick. I mean, there's so much. We're running the drag with the slant, and Cobb, he actually started outside and then works right back underneath. Plays that look the same but are different.
A Pro Bowler for the first time a season ago. Starks is in, 1st and goal. 2nd time that the Packers have had goal to go in this first quarter, led by Aaron Rodgers. Raga again with the good block, and in the back of the end zone, incomplete. They had Nelson, they had Adams. It's 2nd down and goal. There's a lot of congestion back there.
That was a dangerous throw. We talked about late down the middle, and of course, Aaron's had to move around quite a bit here in the first quarter.
Packers, Rich, have 9 total first downs in this first quarter. The Patriots have only run 7 total plays.
Yeah, time of possession. It's amazing. You look at what the Packers have been able to do, and going for it now 3 times on 4th down.
Starts with Rodgers, 2nd and goal. It's Adams who will dance. Bradley Fletcher, the former Philadelphia Eagle, will bring him down. It is a gain of a yard to the 7.
He had nowhere to go. Davante Adams catches that ball and he starts to turn back inside, and there's a sea of blue. Look at all the players that come screaming as he starts. Whoa! Don't go back in there.
Timeout taken by the Patriots. During our replay, Mike McCarthy said that Davante Adams, that guy right there, was the offseason MVP, and Rodgers was gushing about what Adams had done to get himself even more prepared for his 2nd season in the NFL.
Yeah, Kevin, I think his first year was a frustrating one. I think, he had some struggles early. This is not an easy system to learn. I think that he had some drops. He had to sit there and watch Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb have Pro Bowl seasons, and so I think Aaron spent a lot of time with him early in the offseason program, and as I mentioned earlier, Aaron said that his practice habits have really improved. If you want to play in this offense, you've got to practice well. You've got to be a good practice player. You have to go out and practice and act like it's a game. And that's how Aaron Rodgers practices. That's how he plays. And I think that's what Davante Adams is starting to learn. He's got some great examples around him. You watch Jordy Nelson, you watch Randall Cobb, how these guys practice. It's important to them.
They got the tight end Corliss wide. Starks remains 3rd and goal. Line gives him time. Rodgers. And off the fingertips of Adams in the corner. With the coverage across the way by Butler, among others. And now it is 4th down. They will go for 3.
Well, you watch Aaron. He scans the entire field. He doesn't miss a beat. This is not an easy catch, but one that he has to make in the back of the end zone.
Logan Ryan picked up the tail end of that coverage. Here's a field goal try. It is a 25-yarder. I wonder if Mike feels funny not having that play call sheet in his hands, as we're so used to seeing on the Packers trying to get on the board first. Crosby has had a terrific practice in this summer of 2015. Knocks one through from 25 yards away. But I mean, I'm sure Mike is learning on the move of how he wants to perform himself on the sideline.
Well, you have to ask yourself, what is he doing now that he's not calling plays? Well, he's building a call sheet for the season. Now, he's always had all 3 phases on his call sheet when he was calling plays: offense, defense, and special teams. And as Mike said to us earlier today, Kevin, he wants to be the best support guy that these coordinators have ever had, but he's got to build his own call sheet. In other words, he's got to still be involved in the offense. He still has to be involved in game planning. He's going to spend a lot more time, as we've seen through the preseason, with the defensive staff, and especially with special teams, an area that was a huge disappointment a season ago for the Packers.
Starks, by the way, on that drive, 3 catches for 38 yards. He was very effective. Corliss had a 15-yard reception. Cobb with a 16-yard catch and run. And the offense and the starters, for the most part, have seen the entire first quarter with only 11 seconds remaining in it.
Yeah, good work for the offense.
And here comes New England with the kick return, and this is the receiver Josh Boyce, who they've been talking about. He did drop one earlier in this first quarter to the 26-yard line, a 29-yard return. Jimmy Garoppolo has come in for the first time tonight. If the suspension of Tom Brady is upheld, this guy will be the starting Patriot quarterback for the first month of the season.
Isn't it amazing how quickly things can change in this business? I mean, you come off of a Super Bowl, and of course, the news comes out that Brady's going to be suspended for the first month of the season, and now Jimmy Garoppolo finds himself as a starter of a high-octane offense here in New England.
Like somebody was moving. Outside backers here now, Malumba and Hubbard for Green Bay.
False start. Offense, number 55. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
So now 1st and 15.
Please reset the game clock. Thank you.
And that outside linebacker position for the Packers has been hit with injuries. So guys like Malumba and Hubbard and others can find some opportunity, get more reps, and be more in front of the coaches.
Yeah, I thought Malumba really came on and played well last year. Kevin is a guy that very familiar, very capable in Don Capers' system.
Starting secondary is in. Garoppolo handoff, and Jonas Gray. He had that 4-touchdown game, you may recall, last November against the Colts. Malumba there among a couple others to make the stop, along with Raji, on a gain of 5. First quarter has come to a close. Crosby from 25 yards away. 3-zip Green Bay on the Packers TV network. Defense, linebacking in particular, Rich.
Yeah, especially inside, Kevin. I thought Sam Barrington got better with the reps last year. 68 tackles. Clay Matthews functioned all over the field, moving inside in situational role the second half of the season. Peppers was outstanding outside. 9.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. The pass rush was aided by 9.5 sacks from Neal and Perry, but they've got to get better inside.
It's a handoff, and it goes to James White. And that was a 2nd down and 10. And he picks up 3 on the play. By the way, folks, the second quarter tonight is sponsored by Menards. Save big money at Menards. B.J. Raji, torn bicep in camp a year ago, back now, and he'll be a big part of trying to plug up the weakness in the run defense.
Yeah, he's such a talented player when he's healthy. And again, I like the fact, Kevin, that he's about 10 pounds lighter than he was a season ago.
Garoppolo, 3rd and 7. It was maybe tipped, and it's caught by Boyce. Caught downfield at the 45. Clinton Dix brings him down. It's a gain of 16 for Josh Boyce out of TCU.
I think a lot of Patriots fans are anxious to see what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. Kevin, second-year player out of Eastern Illinois, and of course, he's got a chance to watch and learn behind Tom Brady, but they know they have to increase his reps to get him ready for the start of the regular season against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
1st and 10, Raji's in the middle. And look at the run outside. Gray, touchdown. Jonas Gray has just run one from 55 yards out. And the Patriots have the first lead. The run defense caught that time for the Packers.
Well, this is simply a contain issue that if they do not do a good job, and this ball just bounces outside. There's no one outside to force Jonas Gray back up inside, and then Gray shows some speed once he gets up on the second level. Now they'll go for 2.
Garrett Blunt, who they expect to get the majority of the carries, is injured. He's missed some camp time. It was a 55-yard touchdown run. Here is a 2-point try. And this is Gray, and with ease he'll take it in to make it 8-3 New England.
This is just too simple. I mean, just a simple toss, and no one's there to make this play. Starts off with a touchdown and an easy 2-point play. Some breakdowns defensively for the Packers.
This Packers preseason game is sponsored by Mills Fleet Farm, Toyota, UW Health, the Wisconsin Lottery, and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
It's a defense right there. The Packers allowed no rush longer than 40 yards a season ago. They just were hit with a 55-yard touchdown gallop by Jonas Gray. 2-point by Gray. And that's going to be left in the end zone by Ty Montgomery. Ty Montgomery, the rookie out of Stanford, to Olivia Harlan on the sideline.
Well, of course, Ty Montgomery was a Stanford graduate, and he's been given a hard time by a fellow Californian, Aaron Rodgers, about his school choice. But football aside, you can expect a pretty sharp guy to graduate from Stanford. Coach Mike McCarthy says he asks a lot of questions in meetings. He's very vocal, wants to get it right, a pretty cerebral player, which is good for someone not only adjusting to a new system, NFL speed, but a new position. He played running back in college, and the thought he can ask all the questions he needs to if he can make it with this Packers prestigious receiving corps. Back to you.
Good stuff. They say he picks up things as fast as anyone that Mike has ever had in Green Bay. Very smart. Tolzien, the new quarterback, 1st and 10. Good backpedaling catch. Miles White. He's trying to make the team, 3rd try at it, 3rd camp. Rodgers finishing the first quarter. They get 3 on the board on 3 possessions.
Well, a good start for Scott Tolzien, and a nice route here by Miles White. A little slant route. He does a nice job throttling between the corner and the safety.
It is a 1st and 10. Rajon Neal will take it. And he was a player you may recall that we saw last year in the preseason, albeit briefly, with a nice touchdown run at 12 yards in the first game in the rain in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans. And then Neal was injured and shelved, then re-signed with the Packers in November. He's back in now. They've got high hopes, maybe a 3rd, number 3 running back for this team.
He's going to get a great opportunity tonight with plenty of reps.
2nd down and 6. Tolzien, Rajon Neal, and hit initially by Logan Ryan on a catch and run of 7 and a first down.
Here's one of the most improved players, Kevin, this offseason, Scott Tolzien. He's got a much better command of the offense, obviously, better consistency in production and practice. Mike McCarthy said he's had a great camp. He just looks so much more comfortable in the offense. Even that last play, not there down the field, he comes right down and finds an easy completion underneath.
First down and 10. Treader is the new center. That goes to Neal, who's out of Tennessee, and then belted on the play significantly by Jonathan Freeney. It is a loss of 1 on the play. Tolzien is out of the University of Wisconsin. They have kind of, as he says, reconstructed the way he throws, and you mentioned it, his footwork.
Yeah, and better, as Mike said, better. He's doing a much better job transitioning from in the pocket to outside. I think you watch a guy like Aaron Rodgers make plays outside the pocket. It's an area where Tolzien has improved this offseason.
Second down and 11. Tolzien flips it over to Neal, but over his head and incomplete. Vunovich is now playing that left tackle for the Packers. The second group, third group is in there. 3rd and 11 coming up for Green Bay.
Well, Mike McCarthy told us this morning, Kevin, this is the best quarterback room that they've had from top to bottom. Best 4 quarterbacks that they've had in training camp since he's been the head coach. They're excited about Tolzien, Brett Hundley, their 5th round pick, and even Matt Blanchard, who came over in free agency, the guy that Mike referred to as the NFL quarterback for sure.
Blanchard from Wisconsin Whitewater. 3rd and 11. Flag is down. Tolzien is on the move and hit helmet first by McClain. He's past midfield to the 49-yard line of New England, but the flag is there. It's a 12-yard game which will be wiped out.
Holding. Offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Barkley at that right tackle position.
Yeah, you get a good look at him right there in the middle of your screen. Just gets beat around the edge, and he's quick to grab Jabal Sheard. Referee right there to make that call.
Barkley injured last year, blew a knee, but it's been a while since he's been out there seeing fire like he is right now, and they say he's been a little bit slow in camp. He's still regaining his footing at that line position.
Not an easy injury to come back from. You see that knee brace on that right knee.
Packers have their first penalty, so it's 3rd and 21. 3rd and 21.
They'll be smart here.
They need the 50. Tolzien. Rodgers, nice catch on the slide at the 48, but shy of the first by about 3. 18-yard pickup, 4th and 3. They're going to punt.
That's a good play there by Scott Tolzien. You don't want to have something bad happen in a situation like that. Ball comes out quickly. They get a bunch of it back. Now they can punt. Play the field position battle. Pin this team back and play some defense to get the ball back for your offense.
Here's Tim Mastay to punt. He struggled at the end of last season. They had some competition. Cody Mandel, they cut him earlier this week. And at the 18-yard line, hang time of 3.9 on a 35-yarder with the ball spotted at about the 18. Revamped special teams for the Packers. More on that coming up. More Garoppolo, too, as the New England Patriots lead Green Bay early in the 2nd quarter. Got the cheese head. Now you get the right batteries, and you're in business, huh?
Pretty good look.
That's a great look. What do you mean? That's terrific. There's that defensive line. They've got some new guys in there right now for the Packers, including Pennell, who they've got high hopes for. 1st and 10 handoff. Garoppolo taking the place of Brady, who saw a little bit of time. And it's a gain of, well, in fact, he lost. I think they're going to say he fell back. He did by 2. White couldn't find it. There's Bradford. Carl Bradford at that linebacker position. He'll be under the microscope as well as they try to get that great group of linebackers we talked about earlier, inside and outside.
Yeah, they got to play better inside. Kevin's a big reason why they moved Clay Matthews inside the 2nd half of the season. Wish you miss a guy like A.J. Hawk.
2nd down, 12. The rush was on by Elliott. They get it off for the running back, and here he goes, James White. We know where he's from. He's the kid out of Wisconsin, a 4th-round pick a season ago. He's a 2nd-year player. He picks up 16 on the catch and run.
Well, they've been getting hurt a little bit by these screens. You see it develop, and they just kick it out the back door. And really nice patience by the back, James White. Good vision once he gets up on the second level.
Adrian Hubbard is down for Green Bay. He was the kid who left Alabama early, was in camp last year, put him on the practice squad. He's been battling a groin issue since early August. Down and being looked at. We will step aside in Foxborough. Terrific medical staff of the Packers taking a look at Adrian Hubbard. 2-year starter at Alabama. Out right now. Elliott in there. It is a 1st and 10 after the 17-yard gain moments ago. Garoppolo. Little pressure. Underthrown to Boyce. With the coverage downfield by Ladarius Gunter, who's been the guy talked about a lot of camp, the undrafted kid out of Miami.
Well, he's done a really nice job. He's got long arms. He's very, very good in press coverage. He plays with great confidence. He did a really nice job on that last play, not panicking once the receiver got by him in the secondary. Very good catch-up speed by Gunter.
5 defensive backs. Sabetic will come in. Handoff. White and brought down. Elliott with a good beat. I remember that game Elliott had against the Rams in the preseason last year and surprised a lot of people. Lost it 2 right there. It'll be 3rd and 12.
Yeah, really a nice game by Elliott last year. And Kevin, we talk about the linebacking core, the defensive line last year. We talked about the strain, that the injury that B.J. Raji had, with the stress that put on the defense. Guyan was a nice addition to fill the void. Of course, Mike Daniels really came on late last year, led all linemen with 69 tackles. Dayton Jones was more active after a disappointing 2013 season. But the suspensions are going to hurt this team early in the season.
3rd and 11. Here they come. Malumba right up the middle and into the grill of Garoppolo, and down he goes at the 22-yard line. Good looking play by Malumba, who was injured, you may recall, last year, returning from an ACL he tore in week 2 of last season.
And Kevin, he was a guy that really stood out last preseason. Malumba is just a terrific talent. 6'3", 260 pounds. And he's a natural. He can play in space. He's very good in the run defense. He's a good blitzer as well.
Poor punt, which Montgomery will way off. Flag is down. Good roll inside the 26 and resting at the 25. 54-yard punt. What's your take on the Packers special teams and what they've done to revamp?
Well, statistically, they were the worst in football a season ago. Sean Slocum out. They promoted Ron Zook, who worked with Mike McCarthy in New Orleans. Talked about the head coach spending a ton of time with the special teams units in the meeting room, on the practice field. As he said to us this morning, Kevin,
did not immediately return.
8 or 9 plays.
That 15-yard penalty will be tacked on. 1st down.
8 or 9 plays dramatically changed the landscape of what they did in the kicking game a year ago. And 5 or 6 of those plays came when they had significant leads in the game. And that really kind of rocked their confidence. Mistakes on special teams impact what you're able to do on offense and defense. That's why they're really stressing special teams this training camp.
And Mike has been in the meetings. He says we're going to change the culture.
They're going to look different. This is the youngest that they've been on special teams. There will be a ton of new starters on that side of the ball. And as you mentioned, stressing the fundamentals of playing special teams.
It was a 54-yard punt, but there was a 15-yard penalty against the Patriots. Thus the Packers at the 40, and it's a 1st and 10. And Scott Tolzien hands off to Rajon Neal, and he doesn't pick up anything on the play. Hey fans, be sure to tune in to the Packers Radio Network during the regular season for the Menards Big Play Contest. You could win a $500 Menards gift card if the Packers score a touchdown from 25 yards or more on a single play during the 2nd quarter. For details, visit any Wisconsin Menards store. 2nd down and 10. Here comes Neal. And he wheels his way close to a 1st down, close to midfield, with a good-looking run for the Tennessee Volunteer of about 9, maybe 10. That 3rd running back position is open and available.
It seems like every year we have this conversation. We know what we have with Eddie Lacy and James Starks, but Neal's there, and you've got a couple of young players in Crockett and Harris. But Neal has looked really sharp so far for the first couple of weeks of training camp.
3rd and 1, Tolzien at the helm from the 49. And that's caught Perillo, and he breaks a tackle on the play and finds the 1st down with a catch and run, taking it to the New England 34-yard line. Picks up 16, Perillo, who needs some big plays to make this team with the first down catch and run.
Well, play action gets the squeeze, and they just leak the tight end into the flat. Perillo does a nice job holding on to it and then getting some extra yards after the catch.
Big play for Perillo. Has been steady, though. They saved throughout most of the camp the undrafted player. Here comes Neal with a hesitant run and brought down on the play by James Morris. He's out of Iowa. And a gain on the play of about 2 to the Patriot 33.
You know, it's tough when you're constantly changing players in and out. You know, you've got a new offensive line in there, a new quarterback, new backs, new receivers. This is a group that has spent some time working together in the preseason back at Lambeau.
2nd down and 8. It's Neal outside, and it's incomplete. You may have noticed that the numbers on the field have a different color to them, and it's the 50-yard line. And the reason is this is the golden anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the upcoming Super Bowl. And since it is, you're going to see a lot of things like this and other gold shade to NFL emblems throughout the season.
Yeah, pretty amazing to think we're on to 50.
Yeah.
And the Super Bowl started with the Packers back in Super Bowl I.
It did indeed. Took on the Chiefs. They'll be commemorating that game and that Monday night game at Lambeau in late September. Here's a 3rd and 8. Tolzien sticks in there and comes a pass just shy of the first down. Grabbed on the play. Perillo, good looking catch. Tackled by Tavon Wilson. And Perillo, who was an H-back in college at the University of Maine.
It's a black bear.
Yes, he was. Gained 7 right there. It's 4th down and about 1.5 yards for Green Bay. Another 4th down possibility.
Contested catch by Justin Perillo. Well, they're getting plenty of work in critical situations.
Neal in the backfield, and Tolzien is ready. 4th and a long one. He's got the receiver. Touchdown! Grabbed by Jeff Janis, who needs big plays as he's had a very uneven training camp for Green Bay, and comes up with a touchdown pass that time of 26 yards. On the throw by Tolzien.
Well, they got the look they wanted, man-to-man coverage, and Janis is just real patient with the cornerback at the line of scrimmage. Gets the separation he needs, and Tolzien makes a perfect throw.
Janis is the biggest and fastest wide receiver here. The Packers are going to go for 2.
I think we're going to see a lot of this, Kevin, not just with the Packers, but with all the teams through the preseason. I think we're going to see a lot of teams going for 2 in the preseason.
Here comes Tolzien with a 2-point try. Green Bay has got the lead by a point. We'll have to use these numbers now. 2 points going to be a part of, I think, a lot of people and what they tried. They tried to go inside to White, and it was broken up beautifully on the play by Bradley Fletcher. Packers converted 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 on that drive. Perillo caught one for 16. White caught one for 16. Janis got one from Tolzien on a 26-yard touchdown reception.
And great protection, and you see the separation created by Janis. Really nice job there. Goes right by Logan Ryan. And this is an easy throw for Scott Tolzien.
So Tolzien comes up with a big throw. Looked good on that drive. And we got a report earlier about the fact that they had decided on Tolzien over Matt Flynn, who was let go, signed with New England. But as Olivia told us in the pregame show along with Rod, that he did not pass the physical here with a hamstring issue, so he was let go.
You know, it's amazing that, you know, Matt Flynn, Kevin, he every time he leaves Green Bay, something bad happens. You know, he goes to Seattle, it doesn't work out there. He goes to Oakland, it doesn't work out there. He's kind of bounced around the league. He was back in Green Bay last year, of course, backing up Aaron Rodgers, and he gets a chance to go to New England. He can't pass a physical, and now the Patriots were forced to sign Ryan Lindley this week, and they're pretty thin at the quarterback position, especially when you consider they most likely will be without Tom Brady the first 4 weeks of the season.
That's Ryan Lindley. The Packers have a kid named Corey Linsley, who, by the way, Rod Burks, he was rated the 4th best center in pro football last year.
That's right. He brings a lot of game when he's under center for Aaron Rodgers. what a difference a year makes. Last year, you were thrown into the fire. Talk about that transition when you didn't get that many reps during training camp.
I feel like more cohesion in the offensive line. I feel like we're off to a faster start in terms of communication and everything, but always room for improvement. I know I had some bad plays out here tonight. Had some good plays too, and we all got to build on them.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy said this is his best offensive line. Do you see you guys getting better? And what do you guys want to get better at as a unit?
Oh, just get better at everything. We're always chasing to be the best, and that never stops. And we want to get better at everything: communication, physicality, anything you name it. We want to get better at.
Is it tough being the center for the MVP of the league? You want to make sure you get everything right, right? Tell me about what that's like.
Without a doubt, he's a perfectionist, without a doubt, and he demands the best out of everybody, and that's what a leader does. So, I feel fortunate to play under him, and same with the other guys. We're fortunate.
During the offseason, Corey, when you're not playing football, what are some of the things that you like to do?
Shoot, I like to hang out with my family, lift weights. I don't know. I don't see movies. I'm not a real complicated guy.
Always easy going. Corey Lindsey down here in the sideline. We'll kick it back up to Kevin and Rich. Guys?
He likes to eat.
Yeah, he likes to eat. It's amazing to think 4th different center last year for Aaron Rodgers, and it's amazing to think about all the change that they've had in the interior of that offensive line. But, obviously Corey Lindsey stepped in last year and did an outstanding job as a rookie 5th-round pick.
Packers cover that kickoff well. Here's Garoppolo, 1st and 10. Hubbard is back in, applying the pressure. And the ball dropped, as you saw, to Jamie Mundine. He's undrafted out of Kansas, 2nd and 10 for the Patriots, who began the game with Tom Brady. Didn't get much accomplished, couple punts on his 2 possessions.
Yeah, these reps are absolutely critical, Kevin, for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's going to get a chance to play a lot of football in the beginning of the season. I didn't get a chance to play very much last year. Got a chance to play in the Kansas City game. Remember after the Kansas City game how poorly the Patriots played in Kansas City, and everyone was saying, well, maybe it's time for Jimmy Garoppolo. Of course, the Patriots went on to win 7 or 8 straight games, and of course they went on to win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. But Garoppolo's going to get a chance to play, and he has to play well early. He's got to grow up in a hurry as he just enters his 2nd season here in New England.
Nice play by Jake Ryan, the rookie out of Michigan, tackling former Badger James White. And they throw him for a 1-yard loss. He's a 2-time Wolverine captain, and they love his upside. Just a football player trying for a spot inside on that defensive linebacking core.
I really like Jake Ryan, Kevin. Started 41 of 46 games at Michigan. Inside linebacker as a senior after playing outside linebacker and defensive end the first 3 seasons. As you mentioned, a good leader, 2-time team captain for the University of Michigan.
Garoppolo with 3rd and 11, going deep. The official got in the way. Incomplete coverage by Chris Banjo. They were going for Josh Boyce. Incomplete. The boos because of the interference, but the official is part of the field.
We think about preseason, right? Getting reps and getting better at your craft. These officials out here, Kevin, they haven't officiated a game for a while. That back judge clearly out of position. He got knocked over, almost got run over by Boyce.
They were trying to get out of the way there.
That's how players get hurt. Check this out. The official, he better get on his horse.
You know who that is? That is Sean Hockley.
Ed Hockley's son.
That's Ed Hockley's son, Sean Hockley, who is running for his life.
And that's embarrassing. That'll make the clip next week for the officials. Got to make sure that things happen in a hurry when you're a back judge and you've got receivers screaming down the middle of the field.
But it doesn't matter because there was a flag against the Packers while we were showing that replay for illegal contact, which means New England gets it 1st and 10.
He wears a different size shirt than his father. You notice that?
Yes,
it's not as tight.
Sun's out, guns out. Huh?
That's right. Yeah, see, his dad used to wear a medium. You know what a medium is, right? It's between a small and a medium.
That's what you wear, right?
It makes you look bigger. Makes those pipes look bigger.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Patriots. They've scored on a 55-yard touchdown run by Jonas Gray, who is in there right now. Garoppolo going deep again, looking for Boyce.
He's got to find the ball. It's a pretty good throw by Garoppolo. Boyce never able to locate it.
Gunter was there. Rodgers with a word to the side judge.
Well, they've got some young corners, Kevin, I think are going to be really, really good. And talk about, obviously, Demarius Randall, Quentin Rollins, there's Gunter. Some guys that have really looked sharp in training camp. Guys that have been competing against some of the best receivers in football. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb.
2nd down 10. Packers in the nickel. White. Shifty moves. Makes a miss. Gunter makes the stop along with Fenor. 17-yard gain on that play. Catch and run.
James White's a good-looking back, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's got a real quick first step. Just a little check down. Watch this move right there. Really, really good in the open field.
Good night for that Badger. Now if we get Bo Ryan to stay as the basketball coach, it'll be a terrific night for the Badgers. I think you saw that he had announced his retirement earlier and said now he's going to leave the door open. Good. We did him last year in the regional finals out in Los Angeles when they beat Arizona. Had a great time with Bo Ryan. There's a handoff, and it's on 1st and 10. Ryan with the stop in the linebacker core. Gain of 5 on the play to Olivia on the sideline.
Well, like you said, Ladarius Gunter, undrafted out of Miami like Sam Shields, and he was possibly skipped over for a slow 40 time at 4.7 seconds. But scouts say his college tape was worth him being selected much higher in the middle rounds. Could end up being a big steal for the Packers and another smart move by general manager Ted Thompson. Been impressing coaches at camp. Something to look for this preseason.
And a catch across the way, then a drop on the play. Incomplete going for Boyce. Talking about Gunter, he was one of the tallest cornerbacks available in the draft. He went undrafted, as Olivia said. There's a look at Ted Thompson talking with another one of his terrific picks in Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he's a terrific evaluator of talent. And we talked about some of these mid-round draft picks, guys that have been undrafted, and he's just got a great eye for talent and players that they do a great job drafting and developing players and keeping the good players in their building.
3rd down and 5 for Jimmy Garoppolo out of Eastern Illinois. And going for Boyce again and almost picked off. Nice play by Quentin Rollins, the rookie out of Miami of Ohio. They love his versatility.
He's already made a couple nice plays. Their 2nd round pick out of Miami, Ohio, the MAC Defensive Player of the Year. He played basketball for 4 seasons at Miami. I think he gives him great versatility. A guy that can play inside, he can play the nickel, play the dime. They're really excited about Rollins, their 2nd round pick.
Almost blocked by Janis. Here is the punt by New England. Montgomery is under it and fair caught at the 20-yard line. Patriot quarterbacks tonight, Garoppolo and Brady, who started the game, have combined 4 of 12. That was a 40-yard punt right there. There is Scott Tolzien, who has just re-entered the game, and he's coming off a nice touchdown pass of 26 yards. Coming up on the Toyota Halftime Report, our Rod Burks had a chance to sit down earlier this week with Packers wide receiver Devontae Adams. We'll also check in with your local news and have stats and highlights from tonight's first half, all coming up on the Toyota Halftime Report. Maybe even Jan will make an appearance. You know that gal in those Toyota cars.
Absolutely.
TV here. Here's a 1st and 10 for Tolzien. Lonzo Harris tries to shift and find some room. Undrafted out of Louisiana Lafayette. Harris over 3,000 rushing yards and 44 touchdowns in college.
Timeout New England, huh?
2:17 to play in the 2nd quarter. Timeout taken by the Pats.
They want to get the ball back and have Garoppolo go through a 2-minute drill before the half.
With a look at Tolzien and what he's done.
I think he's looked sharp, Kevin. I mentioned what a difference a year makes. He just looks so much more comfortable in the offense. The ball's coming out on time and rhythm. He's been accurate. His footwork's better. He just looks like he has great command of the offense, and I think when you go back and you study what he's been able to do in practices, his practices in training camp have been outstanding. The production in practice, It's as good as it's been in a couple of years in terms of the backup quarterback situation in Green Bay.
Mike used the term loose elbow. What do you think of that? You can explain what that is for a quarterback.
Well, I think, he's very fluid. It doesn't have an elongated motion. A loose elbow, the ball comes out very quickly. Certainly not as loose as Aaron Rodgers, but does a nice job spinning the ball.
White on 2nd and 11. Can't hold on to it. A lot of people rooting for that kid, Bradley Fletcher, with the coverage. 3rd and 11.
Tolzien doing a better job throwing the ball down the field, giving these receivers a chance to make a play. Nice route by Miles White. A little slant and go route, starts him inside and just has to squeeze it. Not the easiest catch, but one he has to make.
3rd most experienced wide receiver in camp. Number 13, 2013 had the 9 receptions waived. 3rd time, as we mentioned before, in training camp with the Packers. And a good-looking diving catch on 3rd and 11 by Montgomery. That was a good throw, and the only place it could have been caught is where Montgomery got it. And a pickup of 14 on the play and a first down to the 32. The Wisconsin Lottery presents the 2-minute warning. Packers scratch games are on sale now with a bonus drawing for a private suite for 2 games for 25 people. Learn more at WILottery.com. It was a 26-yard touchdown pass. Tolzien to Janis, which is giving Green Bay a lead over Brady and the Pats by 1. 2-minute warning. He is just in front of Jeff Janis right there. Unexpected pick, a receiver, which they're very deep at already, but they got him in the 3rd round.
And he's also an outstanding returner, Kevin. All-time leader in kickoff return yards at Stanford with 2,493 yards. And talk about making improvements in special teams. This is a guy I think could be a real difference maker for them in the kicking game.
And they need it. Dallas Morning News, Rick Gosselin had them ranked as number 32 overall in special teams a year ago. It is 1st and 10 after the good-looking catch by Montgomery. Here they go up now to the running back with the short one. That's Alonzo Harris, who twists his way to the 39. And on the play, picks up about 7.
And a good opportunity for Scott Tolzien to operate the 2-minute drill here right before the half. These are great reps for a young quarterback.
2nd down, short 3. Rodgers and Tolzien both over 100 yards. They're going for Montgomery there. There's a flag, and Robert McClain, who played for Atlanta as a free agent, signing with the Pats, may have picked it up. Is the Packer receiving core, Rich, in your opinion, the best right now overall in pro football?
Well, I think it's certainly one of them when you look at the production last year.
Defect, number 26, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
When you look at the production of Nelson last year, Kevin, 98 catches for a club record, 1,519 yards and 13 touchdowns. Cobb was terrific from the slot and occasionally out of the backfield. He had 91 receptions for 1,287 yards and 12 touchdowns. And I think Devontae Adams really played his best at the end of the season. So they do need some young guys to come on, a couple young players to provide some depth and talent behind Nelson and Cobb.
Well, the Packers have a timeout. You saw that incompletion with defense on the play by Dakota Watson out of Florida State. Rich, the one thing that Green Bay does, and a lot of teams do this, but they train all receivers in all 4 receiver positions.
Well, they call it cross-training, and you have to learn all the positions, not just your role and responsibility, but what others around you are doing. You have to understand the entire concept. That's one of the reasons why this is one of the best offenses in all of football.
Tolzien again stands well in that pocket. Janis getting the pass on the 2nd and 10 throw. It's about 4, 5 in the play, near midfield. Let's call it gain of 5 yards to the 49. And the timeout remains for Green Bay. And there is a timeout for New England. With about 64 seconds and the clock ticking here in the 2nd quarter. 3rd, we'll call it 4, and they look downfield for Perillo. There's some pretty hard hitting there by Wilson and Harmon. Incomplete.
As a young quarterback, you have to see out in front of the throw. And Tolzien, I don't know that he ever feels the safety that comes into the bottom of your screen there that takes a shot on Perillo. You can't lock in and man-to-man coverage and not find and feel that safety in the middle of the field.
Another 4th down. The Packers are going to go for it. 4th down and 4. Going inside looking for Janis and broken up. Logan Ryan. They got some defensive back positions open in that Patriots secondary, so the Packers giving up on downs once again. Now it goes back to Garoppolo and New England with 53 seconds to go in the first half.
When you look at the numbers, 117 passing yards for Aaron Rodgers, 107 already for Scott Tolzien. So 200 yards passing here in the first half.
Elliott will be one outside backer. Hubbard is another. Gunter is the cornerback here at the bottom of your screen. 5 in the secondary. Garoppolo with the 1st and 10, and a nice twisting catch by Krause out of Vanderbilt. Spins against the gain down to the Green Bay 40-yard line. Picks up 9. There's Kyle Sabetic out of Dayton. Ooh. Good read out there by Rollins. He jumped on that in a hurry, and that player is down. And of course, that's the guy we've been talking about a good deal of tonight, James White.
This is on the quarterback, Kevin. You've got to see out in front of throws, and you've got a corner that's sitting out there in 2 deep coverage, and he feels the flat. He feels the flat route the whole way, and you're going to get a guy hurt. This is an inexperienced quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, not feeling the corner out in front of the flat throw.
Good play by Rollins, though.
Very instinctive.
As you look at White.
Cut White right in half.
Yeah, he sure did.
Right at the knee.
Rollins, and Rich mentioned this earlier, was a basketball player. 4 years college basketball at Miami of Ohio in Oxford. He's number 2 in that basketball annals in terms of steals, and he played just 1 year of college football in the MAC, and he was the defensive player of the year. Led the conference, as Ted Thompson noted, with 7 interceptions in his only year of college football.
And, you know, it's just a really terrific athlete. Obviously, we know that about him, but I like the way he competes. He looks very comfortable out there. He's got good straight line speed, and it's not too big for him. You can already tell. I mean, he looks very comfortable, very natural playing the quarterback position.
New England had a timeout, but because they had the injury, they lose that timeout. They go outside, and once again, Sabetic is over there. They do get the first down. Good throw by Garoppolo, and he's to about the 35 on a gain of about 4. So out of timeouts and 37 seconds to play in the first half. Patriots on the move at the Green Bay 36. Elliott jumped, yep. 3 down. Gray brought down by the Packers defensively. Banjo is in there. 7-yard pickup.
Oh, a little anxious there. Trying to make a big play.
Offside. Defense moving into the neutral zone prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So they take the penalty. It'll be 1st and 5.
Just a little anxious off the edge. Watch that ball. Now they line him up on the other side.
With a 1st and 5, he looks deep for Boyce, and broken up by Rollins.
He's almost had a couple interceptions tonight. I mean, he's been right there. This is really, you talk about a basketball player. He doesn't panic, and he really plays the ball well in the air. You just watch this reaction to the throw. And they tried to go after Quentin Rollins here a bunch tonight, but he does a really nice job playing the ball in the air, and it's an outstanding effort by Boyce just to rip that ball away.
Then we mentioned earlier that Demarius Randall is out. He's injured. In fact, he's back in Green Bay. Did not make the trip out here to the East Coast. 2nd down, 5 for Garoppolo. Grabbed and brought down. May have been Gaston who got him. He did. The big man dancing out of Purdue, coming through with some help from Dayton Jones. But Bruce Gaston makes the stop in a loss of 7. Back to the 38. No timeouts. Clock is ticking.
Well, this pocket just collapsed around Garoppolo. Gaston first, and then Dayton Jones.
He spiked it, Rich, 3 seconds. Now they're going to try, I would assume, for a very lengthy field goal. 56 yards roughly from right about here. There's Dayton Jones. You know, one thing about the defensive line, you mentioned it, they got some suspensions coming up. Guyan for 3. We just saw Jones for 1. And that depth on the defensive line will be very important.
Yeah, and Jones was more active after a disappointing 2013 season last year, Kevin. But again, the 1-game suspension, as you mentioned, and LaTroy Guyan out for 3. It's really going to hurt their depth and their ability to rotate guys through early in the season.
Packers had to call a timeout. Wrong personnel out there. So they use their final timeout. This will be a 56-yard try. And here are the draft picks by the Packers in the first 2 rounds. You can see defensive backs chosen by Ted Thompson.
Yeah, really a focus on the secondary early. We mentioned Montgomery's going to help in special teams. I think Ryan's got a chance to be a good special teams player as well. We're going to see Brett Hundley, Kevin, in the second half. Ripkowski, a fullback out of Oklahoma. Ringo, and another tight end out of UAB. And we're going to see a lot of these players into the second half, and this is a great opportunity, really their first chance to get their feet wet in the National Football League.
Here's Gostkowski, who has led the NFL in scoring 3 consecutive years. His career long in the regular season, 54. This will be a 56-yard try. There is no wind to deal with. It's got the length, and he's got it! And the Patriots will take a lead of 2 to halftime in a first half, which saw Tom Brady, who's facing a 4-game suspension to begin the regular year, play the first couple series. 3 lead changes in that first half. Packers got a 26-yard touchdown pass from Tolzien to Janis. A 56-yard field goal. The Packers in preseason game number 1 trail by 2. We go to halftime. And the Packers TV network. The second half here in Foxborough with the Patriots on top by 2. Moments ago, our Rod Burks with the coach.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much for down here with Coach McCarthy. I got to ask you, how different did it feel for you to be on the sideline and not call the plays?
I'm bored stiff. I mean, it's fun. The communication's been good. A couple things we can be able to adjust. So far, I thought the football that we played, a lot of good things fundamentally, but obviously things we need to work on.
How about the offense? What do you think about your first team offense in that first couple of plays?
I mean, moved the ball well, but it happens every year. You look at the video, you're going to see things you like and things we need to improve on.
And what do you tell the guys at halftime?
Just win the game. So no, fundamentals. We got to catch the ball better. We got to tackle better. Those types of things.
That's Coach McCarthy with the new beard that everybody likes this season. We'll send it back up to Kevin.
You play to win the game.
That's right. Even if it's a preseason game, but there's plenty to get cleaned up. And I think the offense looks sharp. Good to see Eddie Lacy back rolling. Aaron looks sharp. They weren't very good, though, Kevin, down inside the 10-yard line, that first-team offense.
Josh Boyce, who's got some speed. So does Gunter, who catches up with them on the sideline. Just shy of the 40. Good-looking return right there. But for the Packers, that is not good because the kickoff return team, number 31 last year, coverage almost as bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good, and I think that's why they've really stressed special teams throughout the preseason so far, and really the fundamentals of playing special teams, staying in your lane, playing with your eyes, making tackles in the open field. And a lot of these young players, Kevin, they haven't played special teams. I mean, they were stars in their college football team and weren't asked to play special teams, so you have to learn that skill.
Jonas Gray on first down and 10. Takes it for a couple. By the way, James White, as we take a look at some of the numbers in the first half, a lot of plays for Green Bay, more yards and on down the line. James White for the Patriots, the Wisconsin Badger who left. You saw him injured late in the first half. He is on the sideline, and now he has come back into the game. That is good news for him. Boyce, Sabetic, nice tackle in the secondary for Green Bay, limiting him to a gain of 3 just beyond the 40.
Good look at Kyle Sabetic, free agent out of Dayton, a Flyer. And this is, these are great opportunities, Kevin, for young players to make some plays and get the attention of his coaching staff.
in Green Bay.
Sabetic is from Kenosha. He was in the Giants camp a year ago. 3rd and 6 for Garoppolo. Good throw, just enough for a first down on the quick slant. He got his receiver, Brandon. Nope, make that Brandon Gibson. Out of Washington State, Gunter right there. First down, New England.
Well, Dom Capers told us this morning that probably wouldn't be playing much dime in the second half because they're so thin in the secondary. A number of players didn't make the trip, didn't travel. You look at Sean Richardson, Goodson, Randall, Bubba Wright, all not playing this evening.
Palmer and Vaughters are the two outside backers for Green Bay. That's picked off! And picked up on the play by Gunner with blazing speed, and here he goes the other way. He's got that reach, and he comes in and makes the swipe. A guy that Sam Shields is mentoring, and why not? They're both from the Miami Hurricane program. Good pick right there by the rookie free agent.
Well, 6'2", and he's got long arms, and he loves to play press man-to-man coverage, and he makes a really nice play on the ball. I think Jimmy Garoppolo thought this was going to be a completion, but you see those long arms from Gunter. He's able to not only tip the ball, but get his hands on it and make a big play after the catch.
I meant to say he does not have blazing speed, but he does have the reach, and at 6'2", it prevailed. And of course, the Packers feel, hey, listen, we've had good luck with undrafted kids out of Miami. Let's try this one. And so far, so good with Gunter.
And it's not just what he's going to do on defense, Kevin, but his ability to make the team on special teams. Great field position here for the Packers offense.
Here's a first down and 10. Tolzien is in, and the handoff goes for a gain of about 4, and it's Alonzo Harris who picks up yards to about the 25. The third quarter sponsored by UW Health, the physicians, researchers, and healthcare professionals of UW Health. Remarkable. Second down and about 6. White becomes a receiver on one side, Montgomery on the other. Kuhn is in as the fullback. A Pro Bowler a year ago for the second time in his career. Good move outside. And there he goes for a touchdown. Alonzo Harris. Good cut. Slicing for 25. And the Packers have taken the lead.
Kevin, you mentioned Kuhn. He gets a great block. Does a really nice job coming downhill, and he's going to seal the edge and allows the back to bounce this thing outside. Alonzo Harris very patient, a nice path. You see him bounce it, but Kuhn gets that seal block on the edge. Good block downfield by Montgomery, and Harris does the rest.
On the left side by Vunovich. So the 28-yard return by Gunter, the 25-yard touchdown run by Harris, and the Pack will try for 2. Packers have scored in a 25-yard touchdown run and a 26-yard touchdown pass by Tolzien to Janis for 2. On the move, Rufus Johnson is chasing him. That's incomplete. Looking for Montgomery. Coverage on the play by Robert McClain, veteran out of UConn. Packers are on. Nice running touchdown right here. Undrafted out of Louisiana Lafayette. Alonzo Harris takes it the other way. He scored 44 of those in college.
This Packers preseason game is sponsored by American Family Insurance, Menards, New Mail Medical Center, Steinhoffels, and the Wisconsin Dental Association.
Packers on top by 4. Another lead change here in Foxborough, the 4th of the game. Running backs, Rich, have shown a lot for Green Bay.
Yeah, Lacey was sharp early. Kevin averaged over 7 yards a carry. Harris, we just saw the 25-yard touchdown run, and Starks had 3 catches for 38 yards in the first quarter.
Crosby will kick it off, and taken out that time by Chris Harper, undrafted out of Cal. He is a rookie. And is it? There's Alonzo Harris. Good tackle on the play, made by a guy trying to make the team, Aaron Ripkowski. He's out of Oklahoma. He's a fullback and they think he's got a place on this roster.
One of just 5 fullbacks taken in the NFL today. Think about how that position has changed.
Isn't that something,
over
Rich?
years. And he's got a great one to learn from in John Kuhn, and it's the more you can do. And I think you look at Kuhn, his ability to protect, his ability to run the football, block, play special teams. He's an all-around complete football player.
Just saw new special teams coordinator Ron Zook on the sideline. There's a quick throw, and that's the slant caught by the aforementioned Harper. Makes the grab from Garoppolo, picks up 7, and takes it out to about the 18-yard line. We saw Tom Brady for the first couple series, 8 resulting in a punt. Saw Aaron Rodgers throw for over 100 yards in the first quarter. Played the entire first quarter. That caught some people by surprise for Green Bay.
Yeah, it really did, and I think the plan was to get him some reps, and especially with a new play caller in Tom Clements.
White running outside, brought down by Jake Ryan, who was the team MVP for the Michigan Wolverines a season ago. A pickup of 7 on the play and a Patriot first down to their 25.
You look at Garoppolo, and he's getting a lot of work tonight, and he's a guy that really throws the short and intermediate stuff well, and not as good at pushing the ball down the field. Certainly doesn't have Tom Brady's mechanics or arm strength pushing the ball down the field outside the numbers.
It's a 1st and 10 for Garoppolo, and going outside, and again he finds Harper with the coverage by Fenor. The third quarter sideline interview is sponsored by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. To the sideline and Olivia Harlan.
Jordy, you set a franchise record last year, 1,500 plus receiving yards. How are you going to top that?
I'm not really worried about that. It's all about going out and doing your job. And when we do that as a team and as an offense, we'll be successful. So we, in the championship game, didn't do that across the board and finish out a game. So that's what we're worried about, is doing our job consistently and then winning games.
You had off-season hip surgery as well. Walk us through your rehab and where you are now health-wise.
Oh, we're good to go. We've been good to go all camp. It was a process, but a lot of it was just making sure it got healed right. Some of it's just timing and making sure you stay off of it, make sure the bone heals. But, I mean, we weren't worried about it. We were right on pace the whole time, excited where we were at and good to go, and everything's feel good.
And, Jordy, we know you're not all football. You go home to Kansas, and that's when you really go to work. Walk us through your off-season. What do you do there on that farm?
This last month, while we're back before training camp, I get to go home. It's right in the middle of wheat harvest, so I get to help my family out do that, which is a lot of fun. Every so often we were able to get back besides this last month, but it's just fun to get out there, get away from football, not only physically but mentally as well. So it's a great break. It gets you back to your roots, and always fun to be out there with the family doing some good work.
4,000 acres is a lot of work. All right, thank you, Jordy. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you. He turned 30 in May. He was a Pro Bowler last season for Green Bay, and as Olivia said, a record number of receiving yards for the Packers in their 2014 season.
He's such a talented player. Think about those explosive plays, those touchdowns over 50 yards that he and Aaron Rodgers hooked up on last year. And I like the fact, Kevin, that he does go home and keeps him grounded. He works out at his old high school with some of the kids that are playing there now. And just an all-around good guy, Jordy Nelson.
That's a first down on the run right there with a look at Cobb and Jordy Nelson. What they've done is we see Elliott getting up slowly, but these were 2 Pro Bowl receivers. Look at the catches, look at the yards, the touchdown receptions. No wide receiver tandem has ever done that with those 3 areas and those kind of numbers on one team in 1 year.
Yeah, and they'll tell you that they make Aaron Rodgers look good. But the thing that I know about these 2, Kevin, is that they're unselfish players and they're willing to block in the running game. You don't see that from top-tier receivers much in this game. They're guys out there in the perimeter. They're willing to block for Eddie Lacy and the rest of the backs and stick their nose in there and dig out these safeties and do some of the dirty work. That's what I like about Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb.
Nelson was rated by Pro Football Focus the number 8 overall receiver in pro football. He showed it. Gain of 7 on that last play. 2nd down and 3 on the pass from Garoppolo to Harper. On the Green Bay 42. Going up the middle and brought down by Hubbard.
Well, he fell right into that one. Hubbard, he did a really nice job forcing Garoppolo. Pressure outside forces Garoppolo up inside, and Hubbard's right there for the easy sack.
That inside pass rusher, Rich, if you talk to scouts and talk to people in football, that is kind of the new valuable position. You talk about rush ends and left tackles and shutdown corners. That inside rusher is a big deal.
It really is. I mean, someone who can get pushed on the pocket consistently. You know you have some players that can come screaming off the edge here, and Julius Peppers and Clay Matthews, but some push-up inside makes a world of difference in terms of the pass rush.
3rd and 8. The tackle was made by Rollins. With a catch there by Harper, they pick up 5. It's 4th and a couple. 4th and 3 down to the Green Bay 42.
Yeah, I think you get a look at the 2nd-round pick, Quentin Rollins, and he's learning how to play an entire game, in the NFL. I mean, he's learning how these are valuable snaps, but at that position in this league, you make one mistake and you give up a big play. You're going to get challenged. You have to have short-term memory. You have to have great confidence to play out on the edge in Dom Capers' defense, because you're going to play a ton of man-to-man.
4th down and 3. Rasko coming from an outside backer, and they come up the middle, and that's a tackle made by Carl Bradford, among others. Bradford coming up, a 4th-round pick out of Arizona State a year ago, and on downs, the Patriots give it over.
Boy, big sack. Big sack in a critical situation. You see come screaming up that A-gap between the center and the guard. Huge play for the Packers in the 3rd quarter.
Second half so far for the Packers, and on defense they were initially heard from with this pick and interception by the rookie free agent Gunter out of Miami. Then they got this 25-yard gallop by Alonzo Harris to the end zone. And then, Rich, they got 2 sacks in the last 3 plays of that last New England series.
Yeah, big one there by Carl Bradford on 4th down. And now the Packers get the ball back here in the 3rd quarter.
Good run right there by Harris, and Rod Burks, who just picked up 10 yards on the ground. Rod, take it away.
Thanks, guys. We're joined by Morgan Burnett. It's hard to believe you're in your 6th year now here with the Packers. Let's talk about that defense. How cool is it for you guys in that secondary that now that you and Clinton Dix are just really finding a groove?
It's a lot of fun. We have a real bond and great brotherhood with all our secondary players. And it's fun showing up, going to work with those guys in practice, and now finally getting out in action together, man. We look forward to it every time we get a chance to put a pass on.
Now, Tramon Williams is gone. You got Randall and Rollins going forward. Now, you're trying to help these guys along. How are these 2 guys coming up and picking up on this defense?
Oh, those guys are coming along very well. I mean, all of our young guys are competing, and that was just our main focus going into this camp, is just to push one another, compete, try to find a way each practice to get better at something. And that's our main goal, and if we do that, we'll be a good secondary.
You got Julius Peppers back. You got Clay Matthews moving around. How good can this defense be this season?
Oh, we can be really good as long as we all communicating, playing on the same page, flying around, having fun. And like I said, we have a tight bond, and so that's the good part about it. We enjoy being around each other, and we enjoy playing for each other.
He's Morgan Burnett. We're going to send it back up to you guys, back up in the booth.
Okay, Rod, thank you very much. We have a new quarterback on a 2nd and 15 coming up. Brett Hundley, drafted out of UCLA in the 5th round. The rookie with a long way to go here. 2nd down and 15. And down he goes, sacked by Rufus Johnson. Up the middle for the Pats. Back to the 33 with the loss.
Well, Hundley didn't have much of a chance there. You see right on the outside of your screen, Rufus Johnson just beats the tackle around the edge, and Hundley looking to his left, never feels Johnson off his right side.
Don Barkley having a tough time at that right tackle tonight, coming back, as we mentioned, back in the first half from the ACL. Still trying to get his weight under him. 3rd and 25. They need the 42 of the Patriots. Hundley caught by Montgomery. And then slips upfield and takes it just shy of the 49. Gain of 15 on the play. And Green Bay will punt.
Well, Hundley, Kevin, was a 3-year starter at UCLA, as you know, and left the program in pretty good shape. Number 1 in all-time in passing touchdowns, completions, total offense. And you think about some of the great quarterbacks that have gone through UCLA, that's pretty impressive. Hundley, a guy that's a bit raw. Clearly has athletic talent to play the position, but has to get better in the system, especially with his footwork, according to Mike McCarthy.
Defense, 12 players on the field. 5-yard penalty.
Too many people on the field for the New England Patriots.
That'll drive Bill Belichick crazy and special teams coaches. It's tough in the preseason, Kevin. You got so many players playing, so many interchangeable parts, so many young players. You got some guys that are dealing with some injuries and cramping.
Nashday will punt. And fair caught by the Patriots, Chris Harper. 32-yard punt. Packers by 4, late third quarter, preseason game number 1 on the Packers TV network. Bill Belichick, the defending Super Bowl champion coach. The Patriots and the Packers, the only teams to make the playoffs each of the last 6 seasons. And then you put these 2 teams in Denver, only teams to win their division at least 4 consecutive seasons over the last 4 years. And pretty good programs they both run. Good GMs. Of course, Belichick serves as his own. Organization's very solid top to bottom.
Yeah, 2 12-4 teams that have striking similarities in philosophies when it comes to building a football program. They both have great structure and discipline and believe in drafting and developing their own players, and both have been very cautious when it comes to free agency.
After the Packer punt, it's New England, first down and 10. Pennell coming up the middle and making the stop on the play. It's a loss of a yard.
And there's a reason, Kevin, why these teams have had great success over long periods of time. You mentioned a great leadership and stability within the organization at key positions, head coach, general manager, quarterback, not a lot of turnover there. It's tough when you're continually replacing quarterbacks and coaching staffs. Brady and Belichick have been together 16 years, Rodgers and McCarthy 10 years.
Second down and 11. Creasy carried it the last time. Here's a quick throw to Brandon Gibson, the veteran. 7 years out of Washington State. Brought down by a couple, including Rollins. Pickup of 7, 3rd and 4 coming up.
And life is so much easier in this business when you have a flamethrower, a quarterback that can make big plays. And you think about the success that Belichick and Brady have had. And, of course, the Packers, quite frankly, have been spoiled with Brett Favre, and then you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. It's not even fair to the rest of the league, but it's amazing to think about the consistency and the production that the Packers have gotten out of the quarterback position over the last 25 years.
Jimmy Garoppolo facing 3rd down and 4. And he's got his receiver, Gibson. He got out of the grasp of Rollins and has gotten the first down up to the 26, 27-yard line. Picks up 7 for a Patriot first down. Next week, we will be in Pittsburgh as the Packers will play the Steelers. That is a 12 noon Central kickoff on the 23rd.
Got a chance to see Pittsburgh the other night in the Hall of Fame game on Sunday night against the Minnesota Vikings. Get a chance to see Ben Roethlisberger, but
White.
Man, is he quick.
Got by Joe Thomas. Brought down on the play by Fenor. 13-yard catch and run, first down.
And Kevin, you mentioned the running backs that have come out of Wisconsin. You know, Melvin Gordon this year, and we've got a chance to see James White. And he's been impressive. They do every year. It just seems like they have a great running back that just comes up through that system there in Madison.
White, 3 catches and 47 yards tonight. Blitz is on. Ooh. Off to White. Blockers ahead. Up to the 46. And don't forget about Monte Ball, who is there. The Packers really had Monte Ball. Ron Dane. But Monte Ball was ranked a bit above Lacey. Yeah. They liked them both.
I like Lacey.
Denver took Monte Ball, and here goes Lacey to Green Bay, and the rest is history. Lacey's been absolutely terrific.
He really has, and I thought last year he improved in the passing game. And if you're going to play in this offense, you've got to get better. Le'Veon Bell, we saw him last year in Pittsburgh really come on in his second season just in terms of the passing game. That's an area where I think we'll see more and more from Eddie Lacy.
Second down pass here is incomplete. A lot of congestion on the sideline. House is over there. There's a look at Garoppolo. Out of Eastern Illinois, there's another quarterback in the NFL from Eastern Illinois, isn't there, down in Dallas?
Yeah, I think his name's Tony Romo.
Yes.
How about a coach in the National Football League at Eastern Illinois? Can you name him?
Who's that?
How about Sean Payton?
Yeah, he was a quarterback. He was the strike quarterback. He was a strike quarterback.
He was a scab. I'll tell you what, he's a great quarterback, a great play caller, that's for sure, and a great head coach.
3rd down, 5, high snap, and here they come.
Wow, really nice job.
Great play. First of all, Datone Jones and Elliott. Yep. They had everybody coming, and Christian Ringo, too, was there. Flag is thrown.
Ringo, 6th-round pick out of Louisiana Lafayette. Good pass rush there by the Packers.
Holding. Offense, number 71. That penalty is declined.
Ryan Allen is a first-year referee and officiating the game. That's the 5th sack by Green Bay.
Look at Elliott. Does a nice job setting the edge. Dayton Jones, he comes from the right side. Garoppolo's right side. That's a coordinated pass rush. You got push up inside, and you've got pressure off of both edges from Elliott and Dayton Jones. And another look at Montgomery.
Ryan Allen will punt for the New England Patriots, and the rookie out of Stanford, Ty Montgomery, is back and will retrieve this at the 13-yard line. Came at him and waves. First of all, it's Jonas Gray who slowed him up, and then finished off on the play by Harmon. Packers lead on a touchdown run of 25 and a touchdown pass at 26 yards. Eddie Lacy and Starks. There was a lot on his plate, Rich. First of all, getting the team prepared for this season, but handling the collapse and the nightmare of the hangover, which that could have been for this team as they enter a new season against Seattle in the NFC Championship game.
Well, you can't allow what happened in the championship game to overshadow all the good things the Packers did last season, including going 12-4 and winning a 4th straight division title.
Brett Hundley's going to escape and throw and find his receiver on the sideline. Montgomery, that's one Pac-12 guy to another. UCLA to Stanford. Montgomery, but they're going to say he stepped on the chalk, incomplete.
And just watch his right foot. His left foot.
Yep, you're right. Yep.
You got to know where you're at on the field at all times, and it's just a.
Well, in the Pac-12, that would have been okay.
That's right. But he's learning. He's learning how to play the position. You mentioned the position change, and obviously an outstanding special teams player at Stanford. But he's got to learn how to run the routes and how to handle rotations and different looks in the secondary.
Treader is the center, and the handoff here by Hundley. John Crockett will take it, undrafted out of North Dakota State. This is a player who is highly rated at the college level, the CFS level of college football. Ankle issues in June, returned to practice in August. They were the FCS national champions three times.
Really a good program up there at North Dakota State. I got a chance to watch them a couple times last year, Kevin. They come into the Minnesota area and recruit a bunch of those kids, and they have done a great job there in Fargo, building a great program that's been dominant, really, in the FCS category.
At the 4th quarter, Vunovic is playing the left tackle. Lane Taylor, the left guard. Treader, the center. Walker continues at right guard. Barkley at the right tackle. He's trying to find a niche on this team. Hundley going deep. Montgomery with a great catch, but was he in bounds? Nope, on the chalk and out of play. Double, but boy, what a good catch nonetheless.
Well, a really nice throw by Hundley and a terrific effort and catch by Montgomery. Just can't. He lands out of bounds, but great concentration by the rookie receiver. And that ball bounces around too. They wouldn't have given him that one. Look at Ron Zook. He's begging with the officials. But to turn around and see that ball laying on the ground. You hate to see this.
Yeah, they had
you got a player running on the field late.
Second special teams penalty.
Yep.
30 seconds.
And part of the problem, Kevin, is you got players that are getting hurt. You got trainers. And this gets back to the communication component of it. And you see Mike McCarthy standing there and Ron Zook, and these are the mistakes that you don't want to have. I mean, physical mistakes are one thing, but the mental mistakes, not being on the field, not getting 11 out there, these are the things you have to clean up. And it's really difficult on a special teams coordinator in the preseason because you have so many players coming on and off the field. This player is going to play in the first quarter. He's not going to play in the second quarter. So you have to make sure you always have 11 ready to go.
Here's the punt. Harper's back. Flag is thrown. Rich, they don't get the pad work in practice like they once did when you played. And I know coaches complain about there's enough to do certainly during camp. But the one thing you want to do is get padded work in.
During the kick, there was a personal foul for blocking out of bounds by number 30 of the receiving team. That 15-yard penalty will be administered from the end of the kick. First down.
It's a personal foul when it goes against the Pats. We'll take a break. We're early in the fourth. McCarthy and the Packers on top 15-11. Everywhere, including in Foxborough, home of the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots.
They travel well, don't they?
They do, yep. And they've got all the accessories. Garoppolo is the quarterback with a 1st and 10. He's got his receiver right up the middle, and that's Chris Harper. Harper takes it down to Green Bay territory at the 48. The fourth quarter sponsored by Goodwill. Goodwill, believe in the power of work. 15-yard pickup right there.
Yeah, Garoppolo looks really comfortable off of play action. I mean, they've done a nice job with that. They faked that ISO, and Garoppolo does a good job spinning his head around, finding that safety. He's made some good throws over the middle of the field.
157 yards through the air. White, where they jump on his back in a hurry. Big man there, Levon Hooks, with a gain of 2. I want to tell a story about Belichick. When the Patriots played at Lambeau last year, and Green Bay won that 26-21, Belichick took a lot of time before the game to walk around the stadium with his son. He never walks around stadiums, but he was so taken by the history of Lambeau Field, the history of the Packers, and he loves pro football history. So one of the great experiences of his life, and to do it with his son, he thought was a real terrific moment. Katani gets it. He's out at the Naval Academy. That's where Bill's dad was a coach at one time, and Bill grew up with his dad scouting around the East Coast, watching film, learned how to break film from his dad. It was a long time.
Seems like
football
they have
coach.
a midshipman on the team every year.
He does, doesn't he? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's got great respect for what they do down there in Annapolis, United States Naval Academy. As you mentioned, his dad coached there. Bill grew up down there. And very fond of the midshipmen.
Injury timeout on the sideline, and that is Sabetic. We'll be back in just a minute. Kenosha, born and raised Kyle Sabetic. Heading up to the sideline. They're taking a look at his ankle. Here we signed Ryan White out of Auburn is in. He was just signed by Ted Thompson. The team made the announcement before the game tonight. Here is a 3rd and 7 for Jimmy Garoppolo, and the pitch out goes to James White. As a turn the corner and met by Jake Ryan. 4th round pick we've talked about tonight, along with Quentin Rollins.
Well, you ask yourself why they run the ball there on 3rd and 7, because they know they're in 4-down territory. So the communication came from Bill Belichick to Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator. You got 2 downs here to pick up 7 yards. Well, you're running on 3rd and 7.
It's 4th down and 3.
Here comes pressure.
Garoppolo up the middle, and he'll be very close to the 1st down, depending on the spot. Maybe shy by a little bit. Chris Banjo was there to stop him from the Packers secondary.
Well, it's
1st down.
Yeah. Really nice play here by Garoppolo.
Sure was.
Pulls it down. He knows where those 1st down markers are, and he does. It looks like Kevin. It looks like he's short there, doesn't it? That's where his knee is down.
Challenge.
Might be one to take a look at if you're Mike McCarthy.
They're going to. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he just pulled it out. Rich,
Yeah,
those words
there.
are coming out of your mouth.
And again, it gets back to communication. We talked about some changes to the staff and how that affects Mike. And I think this is an area where Mike hopes to be better. You know, he's not worried so much about making substitutions and calling plays. He's got time to really manage the sidelines.
In a spot in relation to a 1st down. Timeout.
Challenge the spot, and as we know, from our vantage point, like perhaps he was short. Rich Gannon here in the replay booth. He had to get to the 38. Let's see where he goes down. Knee.
Oh, he's
short. Good challenge.
He is short.
Was short, as Mike McCarthy suspected. And Green Bay will get it on downs. You and I talked to Belichick a lot in our games during the regular season in the NFL, and some people find in maybe the press in particular not very forthcoming with information, but you bring an MVP in the room like I do with you.
Oh, he opens up and tells you everything.
He tells you everything.
He's still pretty guarded, but I have great respect for him. Kevin, he's an outstanding football coach. We know that. You mentioned a real historian, and has great respect for the game of football, and he's done an outstanding job here with the Patriots over the last 16 seasons.
UCLA rookie Brett Hundley is there. Here's Kuhn, who has made the special teams a priority this year. Also the fullback position, where he was a Pro Bowler a season ago for the second time. He loses 4 right there, however, Kuhn does. And it will be 2nd and 14 for Green Bay. Let's go downstairs to Olivia Harlan.
Thanks, guys. Well, Sam, now you're one of the most veteran guys in the backfield. What's your message throughout this whole camp to those rookie corners?
Just, keep getting better. Each day the rookie corners, they're getting better and better. But, we need more. Like this is the time right here. The preseason is good for those guys that, to make plays, to get the coaches to see what they can do.
And for you to teach them. Are there any moments when you're at camp that remind you of how Charles Woodson was with you?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Guys like Gunter and Randall, those type of guys, I can see, like you said, Wood seeing me, and I just, whatever Wood did to me, I just do the same to them.
A good person to learn from. And now you're going into your 6th season. What's different about your game this year?
Just being consistent. That's my thing right now, is just, each year is being consistent. Making plays, making more plays.
Sam, thank you. Good luck. Back up to you all.
A Pro Bowler a year ago. Thank you, Olivia. Here is a 3rd down and 10. Hundley's got his receiver across the way, and a catch made by Pincard. Larry Pincard, a rookie out of Old Dominion, undrafted, makes the grab, twisting his body. 31 yard strike and a 1st down for Green Bay.
Wow, really terrific throw here by Hundley, and a really nice route by Pincard. I mean, look at the separation there. The corner really wasn't anywhere to be found, but good protection gets it done here. And you give Hundley some time back in the pocket, and he can really push the ball down the field. He's got a big-time arm. Saw a lot of big throws like that from him out at UCLA the last 3 seasons.
It's by Jim Mora Jr. Here's a 1st and 10 for the Packers from the 30 of New England. And the stutter-stepping move right here of John Crockett out of North Dakota State, as we talked about in the last time. Hundley, Rich, I think, really thought that he may go much higher than the 5th round. In fact, he thought there was some talk around the league they may draft him in the late 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, but he fell all the way to the 5th round.
Yeah, I think after Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, we knew there was going to be a bit of a drop-off, but I think some people were surprised. Certainly, Brett Hundley was surprised that he fell like he did to the 5th round, but he could have gone to a better place, Kevin. This is a great opportunity for him to learn behind Aaron Rodgers, to learn from Tom Clements, Alex Van Pelt, Mike McCarthy. They do as fine a job at coaching, training, and developing the quarterback, really, than any other staff in football.
So he really couldn't go to a better place to learn how to play the position.
Yeah, and he's not ready to play right now. He needs some time to groom and learn and develop, but he can do that here, and hopefully eventually getting a chance where he can compete with Scott Tolzien for the backup job. I mean, obviously he's not going to beat out Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to happen. You're talking about a future Hall of Famer, but it's a great person to learn from, to be able to cut your teeth a little bit and hopefully make this football team. That's the goal right now for Brett Hundley, just to make this football team initially.
3rd down and 6. And he had Pincard once again, and incomplete.
No, that's one he'd love to have back. I mean, a better throw there gets it done. Pincard was open. He had enough separation. You got to be able to drop this one, and you got to give him a chance to make a play in the end zone.
There was some thought that maybe Hundley has moved to the number 3 quarterback position over Blanchard this week in practice.
Yeah, he had a really nice 2-minute drill last week. You see him, if you're going to sit him there, you're going to take a hit. He never sees what happens until he's on the ground. But He'll be able to sit in there with a tough jaw and make big throws down the field under duress.
Rufus Johnson is down at Arlington State. He's on the 40-yard line as they are working with him right now. You know, we're talking about players being drafted and teams signing players, you know, whether they're the 5th round like Hundley or Pinkard, who is a rookie free agent. But General Manager Ted Thompson for the Packers, Rich, was the only GM who didn't sign a free agent in the entire league from another team this past year.
Well, we talk every year about it, Kevin, and they really have a draft and develop philosophy. They want to keep their own. They're such a great job training and grooming young players. And if there's a player that makes sense, they'll certainly go out and do it. I think of Charles Woodson, you think of Julius Peppers, but it has to be a player that fits their scheme. Not only that, but fits their locker room. A guy that's going to be a team player that's going to buy in and do the little things right it takes to become a world champion. But they're very selective, very choosy when it comes to free agency.
Roughing the passer was the call, so it's a 1st and 10 for rookie quarterback Brett Hundley out of UCLA, a 5th round pick.
I think a lot of money is wasted in free agency every year. I think teams overpay. They have a need at a position, and they throw.
And the return is never as good as they think.
Oh, my goodness. Rarely.
Peppers is the exception.
Julius Peppers is a great example. But
Reggie White was an exception.
I think they got a good deal. I think there's a good, fair deal for both parties. It's not like they overpaid for Julius Peppers. I think you look at some of these teams. How about Ndamukong Suh this year, Kevin? How much the money the Miami
Dolphins? We'll find out.
But you're going to find out whether or not that's going to pay off.
But rarely. I mean, Rich, how many times can you talk about free agents, guys that have gone to other teams, the big money's been laid out, and the performance has always fallen short of what was expected?
And that's why, you know,
more of those stories than the other way.
They have a blueprint of doing things the right way here, and it starts with drafting and developing players and not being afraid to play with young players. I mean, that's Mike McCarthy. He's been there for 10 years. He's the second longest tenured coach behind Curly Lambeau. Think about that, what he's been able to accomplish already in his 10 years.
This is Crockett.
Ooh.
Which is a little bit, he is slippery. Good word to use, and down he goes and tackled on the play by Zach Moore. There is no gain on the play. That's one of the things the Packers, a veteran team, and Mike McCarthy, Rich, have got to worry about, not worry, but certainly wrestle with, is they got so many vets, they got young kids, they're at different levels in terms of meeting and being brought along, but yet you want to find a nice in-between where they're all on the same page.
Absolutely, and you know, I think about the 89 players on the roster right now, almost 50% of them were drafted by the Packers. And that's
Crockett, 2nd and 10.
Says a lot about how they built this organization, how they built this franchise. And I think that, you know, Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy, I think, you know, it's really important for the head coach and the general manager to be on the same page, for them to see you know, the team the same way, how you're going to build an organization. You know, you look at guys that have been on other teams, not a lot.
Right.
What was total in the NFL? Guyon came in last year, did a nice job. Kuhn has really made a name for himself here, obviously in Green Bay after he got a brief stint there in Pittsburgh. And of course, Julius Peppers came in last year, was outstanding.
3rd down, 7. And a good catch by Crockett with a touchdown. That was a tough catch. Handled it well, regained his footing, and takes it in. And the Packers have their 2nd touchdown pass of the night. First by Hundley, one by Tolzien, and jump on top of the New England Patriots, 21-11.
Boy, Crockett's done some nice things tonight.
He has.
Seen him carry the ball a few times. Not a perfect throw, but Crockett shows the ability to open up those hips and make a difficult catch look easy.
He played on 3 national champions with North Dakota State and has been dealing with a injury that kind of kept him out of the first part of camp, but there he is, looked very nimble on that particular play. This is the extra point now. The ball being spotted away, not going for 2, but going for just the 1 extra point. They get it. 22-11 is the score. Green Bay 13 unanswered points in this half against the Patriots on the Packers television network. There's Crockett, the running back, undrafted, who is trying to make his name. There's a drafted Player, 5th-round pick, Brett Hundley out of UCLA, just threw his first touchdown pass as a pro. You'll remember that. Stadium like this. And the Packers on top with the extra point, which is new this year, and not giving these head coaches something to debate whether they go for a 2-point conversion, real close, or the extra point from 33 yards away. The subsequent kickoff by Green Bay, taken by Harper. And he takes it out for the New England Patriots. All rights to this broadcast are reserved. Any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the express written permission of the NFL and those two guys is prohibited. How'd you like those three guys chasing you down if you were taping this and trying to sell it?
You talk about the two guards here, Josh Sitton and
Balaga and Lang.
TJ Lang. I mean, those guys are.
Garoppolo's going to eat the ball.
Really good inside.
Nice pressure again. It's a lot of size. Bakhtiari is there.
And isn't it cool how the offensive linemen all hang out together on the sidelines? You always see Lang and Sitton together because they play guard, and you see Balaga and Bakhtiari together. And communication is so important at that position, but they always hang out together. You watch them at practice, you watch them at training camp, you watch them going to the dining hall. They're always kind of hanging together. It's kind of a brotherhood. It's a fraternity.
-6 on that play. Garoppolo goes down. Here he goes outside quickly on the loss of 6. It's a 2nd and 16. Finds his receiver, Chris Harper. Not much there. Downstairs to Olivia.
Well, Rich, I think you were reading my mind. I was just about to say the same thing about this offensive line group. We talk about how solid they are, how intact, and you're right. Their off-field chemistry and friendship really translates onto the field. I think my view is a little bit better, though. I have a view of their dance moves down here, Taylor Swift's Bad Blood. And remember, this group, a lot of these guys were in Pitch Perfect 2 this offseason. So they know a thing or two what they're doing with that. Back to you.
Oh, my goodness.
And more problems for the quarterback and for the offense of this New England team. Green Bay's got 7 sacks. Ryan coming in. Bakhtiari, by the way, the 2 guards, Lang, the 3rd-rated guard, and Sitton, the 4th-rated guard by Pro Football Focus. And it helped a lot that they were on either side of the rookie center from a year ago and how they helped his game and how he emerged.
Yeah, it really did. You look at Sitton and Lang played hurt the second half of the season, but were really solid. Of course, Bakhtiari and Balaga were stout at the tackle position, and Lindsley really benefited from both the guards, Sitton and Long.
Ryan Allen to Montgomery. Did you go see that Pitch Perfect? Did you go see that movie?
No, I
see those
didn't.
Guys? But they wanted to get in. I think they got in touch with the people that were doing the movie and the actress and actor, and they got in and they were in it.
So there must be members of, what is it, the Screen Actors Guild now. They must have their cards. There must be members in good standing. Right?
SAG, yes.
SAG.
SAG.
They probably. I wondered if they had to pay their union dues.
Who was in that movie? Maybe Olivia knows. Olivia, do you know who was in that movie with those offensive linemen?
That was Anna Kendrick, was the star of Pitch Perfect. And to answer your question, it was David Bakhtiari who tweeted some cast members of Pitch Perfect asking if they could be in it. And it happened. You ask and you shall receive.
How about
Good stuff, yeah. I like it. Thank you. And here is new quarterback Matt Blanchard, who has come in the game. Second-year player out of Wisconsin Whitewater. And the 26-year-old has been with Chicago on the practice squad, was injured, had a concussion, but was on Carolina's roster last year, and now he's in the Green Bay camp.
I really like Matt Blanchard, Kevin. I got a chance a couple of years ago to go down to Chicago and actually work with him and the quarterbacks down there with my old coach, Mark Trestman, and I just came away really impressed with Matt Blanchard. He's had a really good camp, but of course, Mike McCarthy told us clearly this guy is an NFL quarterback. Sometimes it's just being in the right place at the right time and getting that opportunity. That's all this kid needs. He's a talented player. He's smart. He's cagey. He's gritty. He's confident. He can make all the throws. He just needs an opportunity. And this may not be the best place for him. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. Tolzien's looked good. And, of course, they drafted Brett Hundley in the 5th round. It'll take something. It'll take an injury or something special for him to make this team. But again, the opportunity to play, to show yourself, maybe an opportunity somewhere else, maybe even here in New England.
Yes,
because they need help at the quarterback position behind.
The Jets need some help too. Blanchard now 3rd and 5, being chased all over the joint by Dakota Watson, and they come in and level them. L.J. Fort out of Northern Iowa, and others were right there. Blanchard went to Division III Whitewater, as we said.
Really strong program in Division III, as you know.
They won he won 2 national championships when he was there, but his pro day, they invited him to the University of Wisconsin pro day the same day that Russell Wilson was quarterbacking at Camp Randall, and Blanchard was there, and obviously Wilson dazzled everybody. But Blanchard did too, and then he was invited to the Chicago pro day, and that's where he kind of caught the eye of some coaches and assistants.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy that can definitely play in this league. And again, Kevin, sometimes you just need a break, an opportunity, and he's going to get one right here.
Well, how about that face mask? Keeps it alive. Goes against the Patriots. It puts the Green Bay Packers at the 38-yard line. Roughing the passer.
Good set of downs.
Costing New England 31 yards on that penalty. So he can stay alive. How about to be at that same pro day back in 2012 in Madison with Wilson. Here comes Crockett. Hit the corner hard. And turns it and takes it and wheels to the 32, 31-yard line. Crockett with the move.
And how cool is this for Matt Blanchard? I mean, kid that went to Wisconsin Whitewater, now he's playing for the Green Bay Packers. Pretty cool, right? He grew up watching, obviously, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and now he's in the same meeting room and with Aaron Rodgers. And again, an opportunity. You play behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers. It's every day you go into the building, you learn something new. And this is going to be great for these young players.
2nd down and 5. With a pass outside, caught by Kennard Backman from Alabama Birmingham. Rookie and a 6th-round pick. He was a 3-year starter. 6-yard pickup there, and they get the first down.
He started 37 of 48 games at UAB, and
Packers have 2 timeouts remaining. Mike McCarthy told us today this is the best group of quarterbacks he has ever had in Packer camp. All 4 total in its totality, and a good move right there by Harris, kind of vaulting off his outstretched arm. But Mike said today to us,
and we asked him about
the strongest group of quarterbacks I've ever had here.
And we asked him, does that include Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers? He said, yes, it does. Now, I don't think he was saying that. He basically said the room itself. He said, we've got 4 high-quality, high-character individuals and guys that come to work every day competing. And obviously he's not comparing the talents of Favre and Rodgers. He's talked about the overall meeting room and the fact that this is a good group that has really worked well together, and he wishes he could keep all 4.
Ed Williams, a rookie undrafted out of Fort Hays State, on that 2nd down and 4, makes the grab and picks up 5, and they get a first down.
Good look at Tom Clements. He's done a nice job tonight, Kevin, and I'm not surprised. I mean, he's had a history. You know, he called plays in Buffalo as the offensive coordinator in 2004, 2005 on Mike Mularkey's staff. He's called plays in the preseason before, but he's done a nice job. He's getting the plays in quick. Quarterbacks look sharp. Done a nice job mixing things up, the running game, the play action game, the screen game.
1st and 10, tackled by Moore, made on Harris. And the thing about, calling plays, some guys do it from the press box, other guys do it on the field.
And I like the fact that Tom Clements is down on the field. I think the play's coming quicker. It's one less person you have to relay the information to. He's got a great rapport and relationship with Aaron Rodgers. They've been together for forever. And I think Mike just trusts Tom Clements. It was time. And he said it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to what happened in the NFC Championship game. It was something he had been thinking about the entire season. He really felt like it was ready to. It was time to make a change. It was time for him to step back a little bit and spend more time with special teams and defense.
Good stuff, Rich. 2-minute warning here in Foxborough. Packers are on their way to a win, leading 22-11. The Wisconsin Lottery presents the 2-minute warning. Packers scratch games are on sale now with a bonus drawing for a private suite for 2 games for 25 people. Learn more at WILottery.com. Wishes he were calling plays and how much involvement he's going to show personally in what's now a newly constructed play calling system.
You know, I think it was the biggest surprise of the offseason for me, Kevin. It's not like this team went 4-12 last year and had a terrible offense. They were 12-4. They set records. They had one of the best offenses in football. And for him to step away, I think was not an easy thing to do. But he has such great confidence in Tom Clements, who's been with him for 10 years. And the thing we do know about Mike, he won't try and micromanage that area. I think he's going to be a great resource and a great support and a mentor, I think, to Tom Clements. But clearly Tom is ready for this opportunity.
Good, hard, aggressive running by John Crockett on that 2nd down and 8. He picks up 7, 3rd and 1 coming up on the American Family Insurance postgame report. We'll name the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Player of the Game. We'll look ahead to next week's game in Pittsburgh. Have some final thoughts on our game tonight with Rich. All that coming up on the American Family Insurance postgame report. Here from Foxborough. Tomorrow I'm going to go down to Whistling Straits. Watch the PGA. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. 3rd down and a couple to go. And Crockett has got the 1st down. So the Packers, with the clock ticking, I imagine will probably take a knee, or they're going to maybe let them give a chance to go in. No use. They've got the game. As you're looking at young players and what they do in a situation like this, I guess every play is valuable. Huh?
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about Crockett, Kevin. I sat in a hotel room last year. You and I were on the road doing an NFL game somewhere, and I remember watching Crockett play against Coastal Carolina.
Yes. You told me about the
semifinal game, and this guy ran all over that Coastal Carolina defense. He is a talented back, and we're seeing some of that here tonight.
They're going to sit on it. Mike told us today, Rich, he said, the mindset we want to establish right now, they're doing in-season routines in terms of meetings and schedules. And we saw the first team offense for a full quarter tonight here in preseason game number 1.
Spent 2 days of work this week working on the Patriots. Spent more time preparing because Mike wants younger players to get a feel for what this season routine is like. And the Packers really came out and handled themselves well tonight and played well.
Hundley just met Brady, and there's Rodgers. There's 4 MVPs between them. A couple Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Maybe they'll meet again in San Francisco, Santa Clara for Super Bowl 50. Packers had 406 total yards tonight, 133 on the ground, 273 through the air. They got touchdown runs and touchdown passes, and they look good in their 22-11 win over the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots.